Chapter 41. Kai Refining 1. Kai Refining consists of a total of 14 stars. Previously, Kai Gathering was included in Kai Refining, making it 15 stars, but even then, the foundation of Kai Refining began only after forming the law-transforming Danshin. As I read through the 5 surpassing paths to cultivation, I delved into the details of Kai Refining. Although casually referred to as stars from 1 to 14, the boundaries of each stage within Kai Refining were quite complex. To reach the first star of Kai Refining, one must understand all 72 incantations of the 72 earthly Sha true words, and activate the corresponding 72 spiritual meridians. The second star involves mastering the 36 heavenly gang method decrees, building upon the 72 earthly Sha meridians, and forming the corresponding 36 heavenly gang spiritual natures. The third star requires evolving the 72 spiritual meridian and 36 spiritual natures to accommodate 12 types of spiritual energy corresponding to the 12 earthly branches. The fourth star demands accommodating 10 changes of spiritual energy corresponding to the 10 heavenly stems diagram. The fifth star is achieved by unifying the 108 spiritual meridians and natures, and 60 types of spiritual energy changes into 9 points according to the principles of the 9 palaces. The sixth star involves completing the entire spiritual energy meridians in accordance with the operation of the 8 trigrams. The seventh star is when one performs a ritual to 7 stars among the 28 stars and 4 constellations, declaring their intention to walk the path of cultivation and being granted permission to receive more spiritual energy under the auspices of heaven and earth. The 8th star entails navigating spiritual energy through the 6 harmonies, letter F9D1, and 4 directions of heaven and earth, filling the entire body's spiritual meridians. The 9th star aligns the properties and symbols of the 5 elements with the main attributes of the learned cultivation method, fully awakening the attributes of these methods. The 10th star uses the principles of the 4 images to fully connect the completed and specialized 8 trigrams spiritual meridians in order to create 2 channels of yin and yang. The 11th star involves fully penetrating the upper, middle, and lower danshins corresponding to the 3 talents with spiritual power, achieving unification of heaven, earth, and man. The 12th star entails continuously circulating the yin and yang channels of the dual poles, eventually integrating the channels and becoming a flawless unified channel. The 13th star accelerates spiritual power through the unified channel, focusing the spiritual power into one point origin within the danshin. The 14th star, the infinite, involves exploding the concentrated mass of spiritual power to further evolve the inner part of the danshin. Successful evolution of the danshin, marked by the formation of a spiritual cloud within and a spiritual star's birth, signifies reaching Kai building. That marks both the beginning and the end of Kai refining. Can I see the end of this in my lifetime? From first straight to peak, from peak to 3 flowers gathering at the summit, and from there to 5 energies converging to the origin, it's achievable within each lifetime. But within the Kai refining stage alone, there are immense differences in levels and realms. Now I understand why Kai refining cultivators show such vast differences in abilities with just a 1-star discrepancy. In the martial world, the differences within the same major realm were not so drastic. An early peak could defeat a mid-peak, and a mid-peak could overcome the threshold of 3 flowers gathering at the summit. But in Kai refining, even a 1-star difference could make direct confrontation nearly impossible. I also understood why so many Kai refining cultivators spend their entire lives unable to advance beyond a single star. Without exceptional understanding of spiritual arts, one could spend a lifetime in cultivation and still not fully grasp all incantations of the 72 earthly Sha true words. It's not easy, indeed. After contemplating the 14 stars of Kai refining, I turned to the methods written in the 5 surpassing paths to cultivation. Earth surpassing path to cultivation water surpassing path to cultivation, wood surpassing path to cultivation, metal surpassing path to cultivation, fire surpassing path to cultivation. 5 methods were recorded. I chose the earth surpassing path to cultivation. The reason was simple. The internal energy method of the martial world that I had originally mastered, the dragon vein Kai method, belonged to the earth, attribute in the classification of cultivators' heaven and earth spiritual energy. It's better to practice something familiar. While reciting the formula written in the 5 surpassing paths to cultivation, I chanted the 72 earthly Sha true words. The 72 earthly Sha true words is a spell that activates 72 spiritual meridians and is a fundamental technique in itself. For example, the true words of Earth Corner would, from beginning to end, emanate energy from the spiritual veins corresponding to the Earth Corner star, resulting in earthen spikes bursting forth from the ground. I need to form the hand seals too. Of course, as one progresses to the higher stages of Kai refining, hand seals and true words can be omitted, but for now both were required to cast techniques. First, I need to activate the meridian corresponding to the Earth Leader star. Activating even one meridian would mean entering the first rank of Kai refining. I sighed softly and activated the meridian with the true words of Earth Leader. 2 months passed. I came out of the stone chamber and breathed the outside air. Somehow, I had managed to activate the first spiritual meridian, the Earth Leader, but to do so, I had to use 100 spirit stones. The efficiency is terribly low. At this rate, I might not be able to activate all 72 earthly Sha meridians even if I used all my remaining spiritual stones. Well, that's why I joined a cultivator clan. I could have become a loose cultivator, not joining the Chengmun clan. Stealing cultivation techniques from a couple of cultivators would have sufficed, so technically, coming here wasn't necessary. But the reason I chose to come to the Chengmun clan was to seek help in such difficult times. I first went to Chengmun Mok, the elder in Kai building, and declared that I had become a Kai refining cultivator. Elder Chengmun Mok, surprised, checked my meridians and only believed me after confirming the activated spiritual meridian. Huh, what did you do? You, with mixed spiritual roots, achieved Kai refining in just 3 months. This is insane. Well, now I see why the main clan elders gave you a recommendation. Heh. He looked at me curiously and asked about the method I used. What method did you use to enter Kai refining? I used a method from the 5 surpassing paths to cultivation, specifically the Earth surpassing path method. Ah, the 5 surpassing paths to cultivation. I see. It seems to be a common technique, as even Elder Chengmun Mok recognized it immediately. That method is indeed the very basics of cultivation. It precisely outlines the essentials for Kai refining. However, being just basic, it will not allow you to perform any special attribute techniques. I am aware of that. Hold on. He fiddled with his desk and pulled out a book. This is the Earth Dwelling Method, an Earth attribute cultivation method and one of the basic practices of the Chengmun clan. It is specialized in solid defense. You can learn this instead of the Earth surpassing path or alongside it. Since they have the same attribute, it will not significantly slow down your cultivation. Thank you. You mentioned slow progress in cultivation mastery. That is inevitable due to your mixed spiritual roots. But there's a way to accelerate your cultivation mastery. I listened attentively to Elder Chengmun Mok's words. Generally, understanding follows breakthroughs. Once you break through a meridian or realm, the insights of the lower levels become instinctively clear. You have activated the Earth Leader meridian, so you should have some understanding of what the Earth Leader true words mean, correct? Yes, I do. As you move from Kai refining first star to second star, from lower to higher levels, and then to Kai building, the meanings of the true words and formulas you learned before will become much more intuitively clear. Therefore, cultivators with heavenly or true spiritual roots quickly break through meridians and realms to understand these insights. However, those with mixed spiritual roots like you need to do the opposite. The opposite? Understanding before breakthrough. First, fully understand and embody the meanings of the true words and formulas, engraving them in your soul. If you completely grasp the true words, you can activate meridians and break through realms even without exceptional talent or quality. Understanding before breakthrough, huh? I could roughly grasp what that meant. Cultivators born with incredible innate talents, those of the heavenly spiritual roots and true spiritual root, could break through realms and understand mantras just by sitting quietly and circulating their energy. However, cultivators with lesser talents, those of the mixed spiritual roots, had to first understand the mantras to activate their spiritual meridian and break through realms. And I, too, had experienced something similar. Cultivators are born with inherent consciousness and spiritual roots, while martial artists need to reach the 5 energies converging to the origin. To reach the world of consciousness used as natural as breathing by cultivators, martial artists must realize intent, understand life with an intent, and eventually awaken all life's intents to reach consciousness. Genius realizes and unfolds a technique in one go. A dullard reaches the same level only after numerous attempts and trials. I had already experienced this countless times. Thank you for the advice. There was nothing to fear or find difficult. I just had to do what I've been doing all along. Yes. Also, within the territory, every 10 days, members of the territory and external members gather for a discussion meeting to share insights about mantras and cultivation. Participating in it will be helpful. The advice I just gave you and the cultivation manual are gifts for your ascension to Kai refining. If you want more advice, you'll have to collect and pay merit points next time. Now off you go. Thank you. After thanking the Chengmun clan elder, I left the stone cave where he resided. Several days later, I attended a discussion meeting held within the Chengmun clan's territory. It was a meeting where Kai refining cultivators of the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd stars gathered to discuss enlightenment. In the meeting, besides members of the clan, there were external members like me and even low-ranking members who had accumulated a lot of merit points. The meeting was organized with 1st, 2nd, and 3rd star Kai refining cultivators forming their own groups. Naturally, I joined the 1st star Kai refining group and participated in the meeting. First, I'd like to talk about the wall I've recently hit. The meeting progressed with each Kai refining cultivator sitting cross-legged, taking turns to share their insights and the walls they recently faced. I too spoke a few words about the Earth Leader, Star's spiritual meridian, and that day I was able to interact somewhat with other cultivators of the Chengmun clan. After a month of discussions and missions at the Chengmun clan's meetings, during one of my conversations with the clan's cultivators, I learned a rather shocking fact. So, you're saying you can't see this? That's right. Have you mastered some unique consciousness technique? Ah. Well, something like that. I smiled awkwardly and laughed with an external member of the Chengmun clan who was conversing with me. Today, I learned a shocking fact. Cultivators cannot see the color of intent. They seemed able to recognize its form, but beyond that, they only saw transparent consciousness and intent. A shocking fact indeed. I thought all cultivators could see the color of intent like me. Well, I never had anyone to compare with before. After all, reaching the 5 energies converging to the origin isn't common. I thought about the extent of consciousness a martial artist at the 5 energies converging to the origin would have, around the size of a Kai refining 3rd of 4th star. I was using the hidden consciousness technique to make my consciousness appear as small as 1st star Kai refining. But in reality, my domain of consciousness was much larger. Moreover, I heard that not even Kai building cultivators, let alone those at the 3rd star of Kai refining, could see the colors of intent like I could, unless they had mastered some unique consciousness technique. The domain of consciousness awakened by martial artists is fundamentally superior to that of cultivators. In a way, it was the only area where martial artists surpass cultivators. From the interactions at the meeting, I learned another interesting fact about the Chengmun clan. A clan that venerates the Tao of combat. Is it the influence of their founder? And because of that influence, they hold an immortal combat meeting every year. The immortal combat meeting was a martial contest that the direct and collateral members of the Chungmun clan participated in once a year. All those bearing the Chungmun surname, whether direct or collateral, were obliged to participate in the immortal combat meeting, and their rankings within the clan were determined based on their performance. Therefore, members of the Chungmun clan fought desperately at every immortal combat meeting, constantly striving throughout the year for it. I think I understand now why the Chungmun clan is rumored to have foul characters. Their personalities have likely become rough due to preparing for the immortal combat meeting within the clan. It's a pity. If external members could also participate, one could raise their rank and receive a bounty of cultivation resources. I licked my lips softly. That's when it happened. Breaking news. Urgent news. A collateral member of the Chungmun clan rushed into the cave where the discussion meeting was being held and shouted. The Jin clan has finally usurped the throne of Yongyuo, replacing the Makli dynasty with the Jin dynasty. The Jin clan has now seized control of Yongyuo's political landscape. Therefore, the main house has decided to send an envoy to congratulate the Jin clan on their victory. And this envoy will be open to not only Chungmun clan members, but also external members. Moreover, the envoy will get a chance to meet and learn from a Kai building-level figure who played a significant role in the Jin clan's usurpation of the Makli dynasty. Learning from an elder of the Jin clan. Which elder might that be? Well, it was someone I heard of for the first time. The name was Young-hoon, I believe. I felt a smile form on my lips. Kim Young-hoon has succeeded in this life too. How do I apply to join as the envoy? The Chungmun clan's way is always simple. Survival of the fittest. As it happened previously, the 20 spots for the envoy will be decided by making all the applicants fight, and the last 20 standing will be given the opportunity. But you should just give up. You seem to be at about the Kai refining first star, so don't overdo it. However, I asked with a faint smile. To apply, do I just do it like other things and apply to Elder Chungmun Mok? That is correct, but for this position, there will be many powerful cultivators who have been preparing for the immortal combat meeting. Forget about it. Meeting a Kai building figure won't change your life, will it? I passed him and walked towards the stone chamber where Chungmun Mok was. Life won't change, but it's just about meeting an old friend from my hometown. If he helped the Jin clan usurp the throne of Makli, then surely his martial arts realm must have reached at least the 5 energies converging to the origin. How far had he reached in this life? How much had his martial arts grown? For a long time, I had wanted to cross blades with a martial artist of equal or higher caliber. Joining the envoy was very simple. While everyone gathered in one place to fight, I used the record of transcending cultivation and exhausting martial arts to hide my presence. And at the last moment, I ambushed the most exhausted of the remaining 20, knocking them out and becoming the victor. Some saw me and accused me of cowardice, but in truth, I could have annihilated all the Kai refining 5th to 6th star cultivators gathered there that day. They should be thankful I didn't fight and stayed quiet. I just didn't want to stand out and stayed a bit subdued. Regardless of the outcome, I was able to win the position. I headed to the Jin clan as an envoy along with one of the Kai building elders of the Chungmun clan. Everyone aboard. On the day the envoy departed, the Kai building elder climbed onto the bow of a large ship-shaped magical artifact and shouted at us. I boarded the ship along with other members of the envoy at a strategic location within the Chungmun clan's territory, and soon the ship rose into the sky. It's always fascinating to see. Although I could walk in the sky, flying in the void using the harmony of heaven and earth energy, and air was a different principle from this flying artifact. The heaven and earth energy itself was absorbed by the ship, generating a strange buoyancy. Then the ship gently floated up and suddenly zoomed forward. Whoosh! The ship quickly rose into the sky, piercing through the clouds, grazing the sea of clouds with its dragon-like frame. Judging by the speed of the magical artifact, it seems like we would reach Yongyuo in about a day. I can see why flying artifacts are popular. It wasn't like using void stepping. It felt like being on a comfortable airplane. I leaned on the deck, admiring the underside of the ship grazing the clouds, lost in thought. How far can a martial artist ascend? Has Kim Young-hoon evolved the record of surpassing cultivation and martial arts in this life? The realm of martial artists is third-rate, second-rate, first-rate, and then pinnacle. Next is known as the peak of the pinnacle. 3 flowers gather at the summit. Surpassing the 3 flowers gather at the summit is the 5 energies converging to the origin. That's the limit. Reaching the 5 energies converging to the origin is considered a legendary realm, achieved only once every few centuries, but no one has ever seen beyond it. Except for Kim Young-hoon. Kim Young-hoon has reached a realm of martial arts never seen before in the history of martial arts, akin to a miracle. Yes, the current state of martial arts is continually being pioneered. For a martial artist, there is no higher place. Therefore, a martial artist must create their own higher realm. I slowly stroked the sword at my waist. Even as I entered the path of cultivation and practiced, I never once removed this sword from my side. While reciting mantras, I continuously trained with the sword, striving to find clues to the next stage. Of course, I was still only at the early stages of 5 energies converging to the origin. But even if I can't ascend further yet, Kim Young-hoon will show me the scenery beyond. And he will tell me that the time spent practicing martial arts was never in vain. I am now a cultivator, but at the same time, I am a martial artist. As both a martial artist and a cultivator, I will not give up and will continue to run endlessly, because that is the life I desire. I will climb, and surely end this cycle and live a proper life. With that firm resolve, I gazed at the sky above the clouds, high and distant, yet clear and bright. A day later, we arrived at the Jin clan's main house. This is the Jin clan's main house. It was a volcano. A live one with lava bubbling up from below. The Jin clan's main house was located at the center of it. Were there volcanoes in Yangnuo? But I was surprised for another reason. In my several lifetimes, this was the first time I had seen a volcanic terrain. Excuse me, do you know where exactly the Jin clan's main house is located in Yangnuo's geography? I asked a fellow envoy. He answered me promptly, swallowing his saliva at the sight of the Jin clan's main house below. It's said to be near Jungang province in Yangnuo. I'm not too sure myself. Jungang province? I've been there before, but there was no volcano. No, could it be? I realized one possibility. The entire volcano is covered with an illusion barrier, so it remained undiscovered until now. I was astounded by the immense scale of Jin clan's main house's barrier and gazed at the main house. We're descending. The Kai building elder of the Chungmun clan lowered the ship, and we entered the Jin clan. We went into the Jin clan and, led by the Kai building elder, delivered a letter from the Chungmun clan's leader to the Jin clan's leader. Thanks to that, I saw a core formation cultivator closer than ever before in my life. This is core formation. Zap, zap, it felt like being near the fox. A vast area of about 30 zhang was covered by his spiritual power and consciousness. In the middle, a middle-aged man in red robes sat in the leader's seat, reading the letter from the Chungmun clan's leader. Zap, zap. Under the pressure openly emitted by the core formation cultivator, the Kai refining cultivators of the Chungmun clan, except for me, looked as if they were about to be crushed. My skin tingled under the spiritual power of the core formation cultivator, but that was it. At the level of 5 energies converging to the origin, I can easily deflect such pressure. Using my consciousness, I subtly deflected the pressure being exerted on me. After a while, formal greetings were exchanged, and finally, the moment I had been waiting for arrived. I will introduce the highest external member of the Jin clan who made significant contributions during the recent change of the throne. Kim Young-hoon stepped onto a small platform and greeted us. Greetings to the distinguished guests from other clans. I am the martial artist known as Young-hoon. Indeed, he had already ascended to the 5 energies converging to the origin in this life. His intent evolved into the form of consciousness, and even his appearance seems younger. A martial artist. What are you saying? Isn't that person a cultivator? Are they mocking us? Then, a smirk appeared on one of the Jin clan's elders' lips. He is definitely a highly accomplished martial artist. Undoubtedly, he played a significant role in the recent throne change. As mentioned earlier to the envoys, wouldn't it be a good idea to test the skills of each clan's talents against this martial artist for the sake of friendship between the clans? I roughly understood the situation. The Jin clan had usurped the throne and was using this opportunity to show off their strength to the surrounding cultivator clans. And what better way to elevate their pride than having their martial artist defeat other clans' cultivators? Even so, how can a mere martial artist compete with cultivators? The Jin clan is taking things too far. The Chungmun clan's envoy, as well as envoys from other clans, looked displeased. Then the Jin clan's leader spoke up. I vouch for his skills. Those who do not wish to participate in the martial contest may retire to their quarters. No one dared to object after that. To ignore the individual vouched for by the core formation leader would be akin to disrespecting the leader himself. Before we start the banquet, we plan to have a brief martial contest as a form of entertainment. Does anyone have objections? No one responded to the leader's question. Seeing no objections, I guess everyone agrees. Let's start the martial contest. The first challenger was from the Gongmyo clan of Byokra, a Kai refining cultivator. As Kim Young-hoon and the Gongmyo clan cultivator faced off, discontented murmurs erupted here and there. I joined as an envoy to receive teachings from a Kai-building figure, but now. How did we end up competing with a mere martial artist? A martial artist as a Kai-building level figure. His consciousness seems only about the lower levels of Kai refining. It would be more believable to say a grasshopper by the roadside is a high-ranking official of Yongyuo. Silence. How dare you speak like that in front of the clan leader? The Chungmun clan's elder scolded, though his face was full of dissatisfaction. The martial contest began. Bang! Kim Young-hoon moved swiftly, and the Gongmyo clan's Kai refining cultivator who tried to cast a spell was knocked away. What? That? Kim Young-hoon casually brushed off his hands and said, the contest is over. Shock spread across the faces of the envoys. How did anyone see what happened? The area became noisy instantly, and soon another challenger from a different clan stepped up. A Kai refining 10th star cultivator from the Byok clan. They sent a relatively strong late-stage cultivator. Everyone's attention focused again, and the contest resumed. Whoosh! Kim Young-hoon charged at the Byok clan cultivator, who released a blue spell. Kim Young-hoon elegantly dodged all the spells and approached the cultivator, shattering his defensive spell with one move and throwing him aside. It's over. Again, the cultivators gasped in shock and the spectators became noisy. How could that? That was definitely a martial arts technique. How could a mere mortal? No one doubted the clan leader's words anymore. The atmosphere started heating up. Each clan sent challengers to Kim Young-hoon. It seems as if beating him had become a matter of pride for each clan. Even the Chungmun clan sent several late Kai refining cultivators, but all were defeated by Kim Young-hoon within 5 seconds. The atmosphere, which had been heating up due to the consecutive defeats of the clan's late-stage Kai refining cultivators to a mere martial artist from the Jin clan, gradually turned gloomy. In contrast, the Jin clan cultivator's pride was soaring. And again, when another Byok clan cultivator was defeated by Kim Young-hoon, it was the Chungmun clan's turn. Who will go? No one responded. Everyone knew that sending anyone would only embarrass the Chungmun clan. Well, if no one else will. I'll go. I stood up. Wasn't this why I came in the first place? Seeing me, the elder of the Chungmun clan sighed and said, well, if it's a Kai refining first star, even if he loses, everyone will just think it's natural. I walked down to the martial contest stage and met Kim Young-hoon's eyes, startled. Kim Young-hoon jerked in surprise as if he didn't expect to see me here. Swoosh, I drew my sword. Let's have an exciting fight. What realm has Kim Young-hoon reached in this life? What level of martial arts has he attained? Kim Young-hoon, though initially startled, smirked and for the first time drew his saber. All right, let's play. Flash hour intents clashed in the air. Translator notes, translating the Kai refining stars were a bit of a pain in the butt. Some of the terms are actually used like the earthly branches, heavenly stems, 9 palaces, 8 trigrams, etc. You can Google them if you want. Anyway, don't sweat it from the information overload. The story will slowly explain the Kai refining stage, and you'll better understand as we read further. Chapter 42. Kai Refining 2. The duel began with the first movements of the Severing Mountain swordsmanship and the Severing Vein saber method. The moves transcending peaks and mountain force collided. As I sliced horizontally in the middle stance, Kim Young-hoon mirrored the move and then quickly shifted to a lower stance. However, my intent crushed the lower stance, transitioning into a form that could slash across Kim Young-hoon's face. The fight was at the peak level from the start. Red and blue lines crossed in the air. The sound of swords and sabers clashing rang out in the martial arts field. Ting, ting, ting. Dozens of attacks collided in a single exchange. Cliff edge, bouldered cliff, dragon vein, flowing ridge, entering mountain, ascending vein. I slashed upwards, then wildly downwards, and back up again in a continuous flow. But cliff edge was deflected with mountain spirit, while Bloudered Cliff and Dragon Vein were countered with the flowing techniques of Severing Vein saber method. Kim Young-hoon dodged Dragon Vein with Mountain Bird, then rapidly approached. The moves of entering Mountain and ascending Vein were shaken off with Middle Mountain, unsettling the ground to shake the opponent's balance. Severing Mountain swordsmanship, 49 lights emerging peak. 49 sword energies flew towards Kim Young-hoon. Severing Vein saber, mountain unfolding. Kim Young-hoon's more ferocious whirlwind of attacks repelled all my sword energies. Our swords and sabers clashed, and dozens of red and blue intents crossed in the air. A tremendous exchange happened in that brief moment. But still, it was at the peak level. Our gazes met. No words were needed. As if by agreement, we both stepped into the realm of purple. The 3 flowers gather at the summit level. What had been just an exchange of moves was now a serious prelude. We rid each other's intents, changing stances multiple times with each step. Taking 3 steps and changing stances 7 times, we finally settled on a single move after 8 adjustments. Kim Young-hoon feinted with the mountain wind and swiftly changed to mountain echo stance. I shifted from mountain echoes. Valley responds to echoing valley, repelling the momentum of mountain echo with my sword. The color of our intents grew more complex in the exchange. Each strike was an exchange of thoughts. Have you been well? With a whoosh, I countered with bouldered cliff, feigned entering mountain in the lower stance, and then smoothly transitioned to flowing ridge. I have been well. Have you been untroubled? The colors of our intents continued to exchange, untroubled. However, seeing you well relieves my heart. Kim Young-hoon's movements became more lively. Suddenly, he seemed to disappear from my sight, only to reappear, slashing upwards close to me. Mountain Bird. Shall we start playing for real now? Yes. The preliminary match ended. We both, as if agreed, entered the realm of 5 energies converging to the origin. Our consciousness domain overlapped. Using the layered mountain, I scattered sword gang in all directions to block Kim Young-hoon's strike. Immediately after, I used Mountain Tiger to concentrate the scattered sword gang into a single point directed at him. I have always wanted to ask. A dragon's head soared through the clouds. With white peak, he slashed upwards with dozens of saber gang, tearing apart the concentrated gang Kai of Mountain Tiger. You told me you learned this martial arts from an opportunity following White Peak. The Severing Vein saber continued with great trunk. His saber gang converged into a single powerful strike, aimed at me. Yet could it be that this martial art was not obtained by some opportunity, but something you created? Severing mountain swordsmanship, mountain and valley transformation. I flowed my sword gang into his saber gang, shaking it up as if causing an earthquake, dispersing his gang Kai. Again, a profound exchange occurred between us. The fight in the realm of 5 energies converging to the origin was on a different level from the peak. Rather than predictable trajectories of intent, Each movement was like a far-off illusion, almost akin to foreseeing the future. Kim Young-hoon's saber slashes towards my neck. My sword pierces through Kim Young-hoon's heart. But it was all an illusion caused by the killing intent in the realm of consciousness that we both shot at each other. At the same time, it was also a battle of techniques in the 5 energies converging to the origin. Quang, quang, quang. In the simple exchange of moves, Gang Kai envelops the void, sending sword gang and saber gang scattering in all directions. Even though it was just a clash of moves, in the 5 energies converging to the origin, the mere killing intent clothed in Gang Kai turned the fight into reality, with sword marks and saber marks wildly spreading everywhere. The floor of the sparring ground, made of blue stone, cracked all over. Before long, the boundary of the sparring ground was protected by a formation capable of blocking attacks from cultivators above the 14th level of Kai refining, holding off our Gang Kai. Yet, even that formation trembled under the collision of powerful Gang Kai. Lightning flashes. By now, our movements were likely completely lost to lower-level Kai refining cultivators with weaker consciousness. We traversed the length of the sparring ground several times. The trajectory of Gang Kai we emitted remained in the void of the sparring chamber, not yet faded. And then we collided in between. Why do you think so? The lights of our swords and sabers crossed in the void, each weaving the ferocity of a dragon and a tiger. Don't you know? If you taught me this martial art, you should know the intent imbued in it, the intent within the martial art. I know it all too well. No, I was there when Kim Young-hoon created the Severing Vein saber method during the second regression of the Heavenly Demon War. The Severing Vein saber method, a peerless martial art, was developed by Kim Young-hoon over several months by refining my Severing Mountain swordsmanship of 12 strokes. Originally created for slow learners, the Severing Mountain swordsmanship, with its kind and ascension-inducing strokes, was stripped of its simplicity. He integrated and extracted the essence of each stroke to create a new saber method. That was the Severing Vein saber method. A martial art created by Kim Young-hoon for his own genius, and at the same time, a martial art imbued with his thoughts during its creation. Back then, in the early regressions, he longed for his lost companions and the homeland he could never return to. It was evident even in the names of the strokes. Severing Vein, returning home. His saber, beyond the Severing Mountain sword's 49 lights emerging peak, carried a much more profound and intricate transformation. The strokes he created out of longing for home as a human, not a genius, rained down on me. Kim Young-hoon's reason for asking was probably the same. The martial art itself exuded the longing for home, the longing of a human being. Right now, he's asking me if I miss home as well. I questioned him in return. You're asking if I miss my home, aren't you? At this point in the regression, Kim Young-hoon believes that I created the Severing Vein saber method. Therefore, he is asking if I long for my homeland. I certainly do miss it. Sometimes, I miss it so intensely that I find myself weeping with my sword in hand. Using 9 mountain, 8 seas I deflect Kim Young-hoon's attacks dozens of times. Then, concentrating dozens of attacks into a single point, I intensify the pressure on him. Quang, quang, quang. Our battle has already turned the sparring ground into a complete dirt field. Pong. Once more, our sword and saber collide, sending shards of the shattered blue stone flying between us. Our consciousness, having attained the 5 energies converging to the origin, becomes even more focused. Not just one fragment, but numerous shards scatter around us, the trajectories of Gang Kai. Countless astonished gazes peek through the dust clouds at us. Every facet of the space we stand in becomes clear in my mind. In this near-omniscient state, I lock eyes with him. But don't you know? The ultimate technique of the Severing Vein saber method, the meaning of saber tomb, our intents communicated back and forth. Is that so? He smiled somewhat sadly and took up a stance. Recognizing his intention, I too properly assumed a stance. The heart you left in this martial art initially deeply resonated with me. In truth, it wasn't what I had left behind, but the heart that Kim Young-hoon had left behind in previous regressions. But listening to his intent, I unfurled the techniques simultaneously with him. Ascending vein, following ridge. However, as I practiced martial arts, elevated my realm, and finally practiced the record of surpassing cultivation and martial arts. I made a vow. Kim Young-hoon's saber cleaves through the void. Mountain force, mountain spirit, mountain presence. I must elevate my realm, surpass cultivators, transcend the ultimate in martial arts, and a battle surpassing extreme speed unfolds between us. I execute the techniques even faster. Flowing ridge, bouldered cliff, strange stone, landscape painting, dragon vein, cliff edge, 49 lights emerging peak. Definitely, I will find a way back home. Mountain wind, mountain unfolding, mountain bird, mountain echo, mountain scream, middle mountain. Explosions occur between our sword and saber, blinding to the eye. In a battle that feels like it could numb the senses, I felt his will, how fantastical. His saber technique continuously unfolds. Dragon mound, white peak, great trunk, surpassing mountains, returning home. Our battle continues, and finally, the essence of severing mountain swordsmanship and severing vein saber method emerges. Severing mountain swordsmanship, the 22nd move. Severing mountain. Kim Young-hoon's intent flows out, and the name of the technique drifts into the void. Severing vein saber method, the 15th move, saber tomb. The ultimate of a martial art for geniuses and a martial art for slow learners collide, bursting forth brilliance, with the spirit of transcending mountains, crossing one mountain after another. Like a dragon crossing over peaks, towards our homeland with the white peak and great trunk. No matter which mountain I surpass, I long so much to return home. But since that is impossible in this life, I shall make the ground under this saber my tomb. It seems as if I can hear Kim Young-hoon's will flowing through the severing vein saber method, beyond the ethereal gleam of light. When Gang Kai collides, shock waves arise, and the formation covering the sparring ground shatters. Simultaneously, several Kai-building cultivators rise up and hastily overlay a new barrier. Originally, the essence of severing mountain swordsmanship, severing mountain, and severing vein saber method, saber tomb, are equivalent martial arts. Therefore, if they were to collide, it would either result in mutual destruction or a draw. But I saw something different. Kim Young-hoon was unfolding the record of surpassing cultivation and martial arts. It was the history of a new martial arts discipline created by a genius, passed down through generations, slowly unfolding in his hands, as if he was explaining it to me, unraveling it before my eyes. Ah, I see. This is the next step above the 5 energies converging to the origin. He showed me his vow, based on his deep longing for home, to raise his realm and someday return there. How fantastical. However, the reason we came to this world is probably related to the Ascension Gate, and if we ever want to return, we must enter the Ascension Gate. But the Ascension Gate opens only once every 1,000 years. Since it has opened this time, it won't be reachable in a mortal's short lifespan. My goal was to become a cultivator, extend my lifespan, and become strong enough to challenge the Ascension Gate. He intended to do the same, but with his pure talent and will. The Kim Young-hoon who spoke to bury my bones under the saber, he has surpassed him. Beyond the stroke of saber tomb in the severing vein saber method, he unveils the record of surpassing cultivation and martial arts. And from there, unfolds Gang Kai compression sphere. Watching the detailed intricacies of the record of surpassing cultivation and martial arts he was performing, I understood how to surpass the 5 energies converging to the origin. From now on, I will continuously pioneer the realm of martial arts. Someday, with the help of the Jin clan, I'll try to reach the Ascension Gate. The cultivators of the Jin clan said that the place where we were is the path leading to the Ascension Gate. If I could only get there. How fantastical, yet again. But I couldn't dare trample on his hope with the cruel truth. The Ascension Gate has already closed, and we would have to wait 1,000 years. How could I say such a thing? Instead of telling him this cruel truth, I asked something else. Why are you telling me this? I hope you too have hope. Is that so? I closely observed the gang Kai compression sphere he released, and just as my sword was torn to shreds along with my sword gang, I was propelled backwards by a tremendous recoil. Quang! I was violently flung back, slamming into the formation and spat out a mouthful of blood. What is the name of this realm? I stopped our conversation through intent and asked him with a smirk. After all, in the history of martial arts, he was the first to reach this realm. It was right that he name it. He had already reached this realm much faster. Perhaps in this lifetime he might evolve the record of surpassing cultivation and martial arts even further. Kim Young-hoon answered calmly, "Ultimate pinnacle, reaching the peak to create the ultimate?" Ha 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 ha. Such a fitting name for you. Thus, pondering the enlightenment of martial arts, I feinted translator note. If it was translated phonetically, it would be called Dungbajojuk. If it was translated literally, it would be reaching the peak to create the ultimate. I didn't like the sound of that, especially 'cause of the reaching part, as expected of Young-hoon's naming sense. Hence, I translated it as ultimate pinnacle, as I know most readers would prefer that over Dungbajojuk. 'Cause I mean, he has reached the Dungbajojuk realm? Just doesn't sound right. Chapter 43. Kai Refining 3. When I opened my eyes, the pungent smell of medicinal herbs assailed my nose. Red-stemmed bamboo, far-reaching grass, clustered earth. I recognize some, but more than half are unknown to me. As I inhaled the scent of medicinal herbs, I tried to recall their combinations, but it seems that most were beyond my knowledge. After circulating my energy to check my physical condition, I slowly rose from my seat. This place is... It appeared to be the medicinal hall of the Jin clan. While I was looking around, on the small table beside me, a red jade stone that was placed there turned blue. Simultaneously, in my domain of consciousness, numerous spell characters linked to the jade stone formed a connection, alerting me. Is this? Informing others of my physical condition. The connection of the spell characters extended rapidly outside the room. Soon, a Chungmun clan elder of Kai building, Chungmun Byok, and what appeared to be a physician of the Jin clan entered the room. Respected elder. Sit down. Ha ha ha, are you feeling all right? Yes. I feel almost unscathed. Well, that's to be expected. Even the head of the Jin clan was excited watching your duel and ordered to take great care of you. It's surprising that he felt such excitement watching a duel between two Kai refining cultivators, not even Kai building. Ha ha, you've made a great contribution. Chungmun Byok, laughing heartily, patted my shoulder and spoke to the Jin clan's physician. If there's nothing unusual after examining his meridians, he can be discharged. Yes, understood. The physician of the Jin clan examined my condition and promptly declared me fully recovered, allowing me to leave. I followed Chungmun Byok to the quarters assigned to me in the Chungmun clan. My room was next to Chungmun Byok's, and before entering, he called me into his room. The door of the quarters closed with a thud, and Chungmun Byok, sitting down, flicked his fingers. A cushion flew in front of me and landed on the floor, and he gestured for me to sit. Sit down. Yes. First of all, you did very well in today's duel. You upheld the dignity of the Chungmun clan in front of the other clans. Today's event will be reported to the head of our clan, and you have definitely earned merit. Thank you. But, before the main house decides on a reward, I have something I want to know. He looked at me with clear eyes and asked. In my younger days, I read in an ancient text about martial artists of the 5 energies converging to the origin, who appear once in several hundred years. They are beyond the reach of ordinary Kai refiners, with a lifetime of extreme hardship and martial arts training. Only by facing death can they possibly awaken to such a state. He is right. Unless one is an anomaly like Kim Young-hoon, who has unprecedented martial talent, or someone like me. An anomaly of time, typical geniuses cannot reach the 5 energies converging to the origin without preparing for death. Even if one reaches the extreme of 3 flowers gather at the summit, without properly completing a body transformation and strengthening the body, the upper dantian would swell and burst. Such beings, born against all odds, often have superior and more intricate consciousness than ordinary Kai refiners. They can even wield the pure spiritual force that Kai-building cultivators use, overpowering ordinary Kai-refining cultivators. Pure spiritual force. Did you not know? When you reach Kai building, spiritual energy becomes incredibly pure along the activated spiritual pathways from Kai refining. Like this. A pure white light began to emanate from Chungmun Byok's hand. I was awestruck. Gang Kai? Do mortals call it Gang Kai? Kai-building cultivators call it pure spiritual force. It's force created by removing impurities and compressing the existing spiritual energy dozens of times. I watched Chungmun Byok effortlessly emitting Gang Kai from his hand without any intent and became speechless. Meanwhile, I noticed that the pure spiritual force he emitted was different from my sword gang. Mine is filled with intent, but his force is just massively compressed Kai. Just like when I used the initial move of Kai Mountain, Heart Heaven to infuse energy into my sword silk, creating Gang Kai for a few seconds. A Kai-building cultivator just spews out crudely compressed heaven and earth spiritual energy. My sword gang might be slightly better in cutting ability, but, without any realization, I was dumbfounded by Chungmun Byok, who could continuously emit Gang Kai not just for a few seconds, but steadily. I'm overwhelmingly inferior in output. Moreover, the purity of his Kai is much higher than my sword gang. It's free from impurities. More importantly, being able to emit Gang Kai so crudely means that I have a question. If I reach Kai building, that Gang Kai, no pure spiritual force. In Kai building, pure spiritual force is the norm. It flows through the meridians instead of regular spiritual power. It densely fills the entire body with natural resilience, so what you martial artists call protective Gang Kai is effectively being constantly emitted. A monster whose meridians are filled with Gang Kai, being almost constantly emitting protective Gang Kai, that is a Kai-building cultivator. The reason only Gang Sphere can fight against Kai-building is because they are monsters constantly spewing protective Gang Kai. To injure a Kai-building cultivator, one needs power beyond Gang Kai. I was dizzy with the concept I hadn't even imagined before. Gang Kai instead of regular energy flowing through the meridians. Is this even human? No wonder the lifespan of Kai-building cultivators greatly increases. Their bodies are filled with Gang Kai, continuously cultivating and expanding its volume. It would be strange if such monsters didn't experience a change in lifespan. Anyway, martial artists who have reached 3 flowers gather at the summit can emulate our pure spiritual force, and those of the 5 energies converging to the origin can do so quite freely. Those below Kai building stand no chance. However, excluding such obvious information, martial artists of the 5 energies converging to the origin are so rare that I don't know what you might need. So, tell me what you need for your reward from the Chungmun clan. Something I need. After a moment of thought, I spoke to him. The elder of the Chungmun clan who oversees the territory I reside once told me about understanding before breakthrough. Since my spiritual root is of the 5 elements, my cultivation speed isn't fast. I would like to follow the method of understanding before breakthrough. Understanding before breakthrough. If it's about understanding spells and mantras, I'll recommend you as a disciple to Chungmun Ryong after I return to the main house. He may have given up on reaching core formation, but he's dedicated to researching spells, mantras, and formations. He'll be of help in your pursuit of understanding before breakthrough. Thank you. And, he stroked his beard for a moment and then said, the head of the Jin clan also found your martial prowess interesting and decided to grant you a reward. They'll fulfill any reasonable request, so think about what you want. After finishing his words, Chungmun Byok indicated that our conversation was over, and I stepped outside, mulling over. A reward from the Jin clan, too. From his tone, it seems like they were willing to fulfill any minor request I have. Then, is that possible? I contemplated a possibility, thinking about what to ask for. A few days later, I had the opportunity to meet the head of the Jin clan, Jin Yowoon. He expressed great interest in me and asked if I had any wishes. Ask within a reasonable scope that they can fulfill. Before meeting the head, Chungmun Byok had earnestly advised me that reasonable meant something that could be fulfilled at the Kai refining level or below. Then I ask of you, head of the Jin clan. After a moment of hesitation, I finally voiced the wish I had been considering. Previously, when I briefly stayed in Yangnuo, I formed bonds with the mortals there. Later, I heard they were all used as alchemy ingredients by the Mackley clan and that their descendants are under the care of the Jin clan. I would like to visit where they live. You mean the mortals working for the Jin clan? He paused, thinking, then called one of the elders of the Jin clan. Weren't those sacrificed by the Mackley clan trained for assassination before? Yes, they were, but they lacked martial talent, and since Mackley Jung was assassinated, we found no need to train them as assassins. We've educated them to do farm work or menial tasks in the territories. Then, that should be fine. The head of the Jin clan nodded and said, I'll allow it, but even if it's the mortals' quarters, they work for our Jin clan. You, being part of the Chungmun clan, cannot freely roam our territory. You can only visit the mortals' area and will be accompanied by a supervisor from our main house. I am deeply grateful for your generous grace. Dismissed. I bowed to the head of the Jin clan and was introduced to 2 supervisors who would guide and watch me in the mortals' quarters. Among them was someone I know. We meet again. Indeed. Kim Young-hoon, representing the Jin clan, was waiting for me, dressed in a red robe. You are the junior I met during my active days in the martial world. May we talk for a moment, of course? The other supervisor, a Kai refining 10th star cultivator, glanced at Kim Young-hoon and discreetly left. I was really surprised that you are part of the Chungmun clan's envoy. Looking at the size of your consciousness, you have learned the way of cultivation, have you not? I can faintly sense the pressure of your spirit. You have noticed correctly. For martial artists of the 5 energies converging to the origin, no matter how much they train in martial arts or wield a sword, the size of their consciousness does not grow. It becomes more detailed, as seen in the record of surpassing cultivation and martial arts, and they can freely control consciousness or split it, handling more delicate aspects than ordinary cultivators. But the absolute size of consciousness does not increase. This was true for Kim Young-hoon, who had reached the ultimate pinnacle as his consciousness was slightly smaller than mine, despite his high level. So, you've chosen to be a cultivator. That's one way to go. I want to know about what you said through consciousness when we fought. That matter. He walked out of the Jin clan's building with me, looking up at the sky, and began to speak. When I first came here, I thought I would never return home. As I learned the severing vein saber method you taught me, that thought intensified. Feeling the will imbued in that martial art. Even the saber move is called saber tomb? Isn't that too cruel? Anyway, until I reached the stage of the 5 energies converging to the origin, that was my thought. But after achieving the ultimate pinnacle and changing my mindset, I became confident in reaching the extremes of the ultimate pinnacle through the record of surpassing cultivation and martial arts. He extended his hand. Energy gathered from his palm, forming a sphere. The sphere split. Dividing into 3, the split spheres spun around, multiplying into 9 spheres. I thought this wasn't the end. Currently, I can only face Kai building cultivators, and it would cost my life to take an arm off a core formation cultivator. Those in core formation are like natural disasters in human form. It's pointless knowing they can recover an arm in about a month. However, his eyes widened. I can tell. This is not the end, definitely not. We can go further, we will surely see beyond this realm. He continued speaking. The 16th and 23rd moves of the Severing Vein Saber method and Severing Mountain Swordsmanship are both named Endless Mountains Beyond Mountains. Surely there's a reason you named the final techniques of both martial arts that way. I remained silent. It was a misunderstanding that I had created both martial arts. The reason for the final techniques of both martial arts having such names was a bit different from what he thought. Surely we can pioneer new realms. It's definitely possible, Kim Hyung. I looked at him and spoke. You said your goal was to reach the Ascension Gate, but to me it seems like The Ascension Gate is just a reason, and maybe you're just more curious about the limits of martial arts. Ha ha, that might be true. He gave a bitter smile, but I do miss home. This homesickness. It never fades. Sometimes I think my obsession with martial arts is to forget this homesickness. To forget homesickness. In the colorless world of consciousness, I dismantled my consciousness and observed colors again. Noticing my gaze, Kim Young-hoon smiled awkwardly. His consciousness was filled with golden hues, the intent of joy. Though mixed with longing and sadness, Kim Young-hoon talking about martial arts seemed filled with joy. Well, isn't practicing martial arts fun? Honestly, I've never found anything that fits me as well as this. Maybe, as you said, I just enjoy practicing martial arts. Enjoy. Perhaps that was the source of Kim Young-hoon's talent. For me, martial arts were undoubtedly a part of life, something I could call my historical achievement, but not exactly something I enjoy. Whether I practice martial arts to forget homesickness or simply because I'm happy doing it, my intention to go beyond the ultimate pinnacle is sincere. And you, being a martial artist, surely aspire to reach even higher realms. He grinned and said, "Come visit occasionally." As a martial artist who has reached the stage of 5 energies converging to the origin, you are the only one of this generation in the whole world. I'll gladly teach you whenever you come. Yes, thank you. I smiled and accepted his invitation. I had been worried when I first learned of his desire to reach the Ascension Gate, as he would not be able to achieve it in this lifetime. But knowing that Kim Young-hoon's focus was more on the pursuit of martial arts rather than the Ascension Gate itself lightened my heart. Now that you're healed, shall we spar lightly? Ha ha ha, I thought you'd say that. I casually drew my sword from its sheath. He sent one of the gang spheres he had levitated in his hand towards me. This move was imbued with the essence of the record of surpassing cultivation and martial arts. The record began with the ability to cut through others' consciousness and perception, as seen in the record of transcending cultivation and exhausting martial arts. It then moved through the understanding of assimilating consciousness from the record of gazing cultivation and exceeding martial arts, to a martial study of dividing one's consciousness and controlling it. After wrapping the void with Gang Kai, I was able to detach my consciousness and insert actions into the Gang Kai, then manipulate it in the void. Of course, compressing Gang Kai to make it float like it's alive in the void was still beyond my capabilities. However, I lifted my sword and, using the record of surpassing cultivation and martial arts, I divided my consciousness, inputting actions into it. Simultaneously, I infused Gang Kai into the sword. Vroom boom, the sword began to leave my hand. Ha! Concentrating my consciousness, the sword that left my hand started floating in the void. Boom! Following the techniques of the record, the sword containing Gang Kai rose into the void and collided with Kim Young-hoon's Gang Sphere, using Kai to control sword. I repeatedly divided pieces of my consciousness from a distance, throwing them at my flying sword, constantly inputting actions. Vroom, boom, boom. The sword tore through the void, following my will and utilizing the techniques of the record to cut through perception. However, Kim Young-hoon's Gang Sphere also cut through perception and seemed to disappear in the void. I frantically followed the trail of his consciousness with my eyes and found his Gang Sphere. Suddenly, the trail of consciousness twisted in the void. There. I quickly inputted consciousness into my flying sword again to dodge Kim Young-hoon's Gang Sphere. But in that brief moment, his Gang Sphere, as if alive, chased my flying sword. At the same time, Kim Young-hoon's consciousness clung to mine, interfering with my input to the flying sword. Though we didn't physically clash like before, a tremendous storm of consciousness collided in the void. Countless threads of consciousness clashed, and I managed to input the last action into my flying sword through this storm of consciousness and perception. However, crack. His Gang Sphere, as if dancing in the void, collided directly with the consciousness within my sword gang. Simultaneously, all the consciousness I had input into my flying sword were extinguished, and the consciousness of the Gang Sphere took its place. My flying sword was snatched by Kim Young-hoon, How did you do that? It's as if the gang sphere is alive. Of course it is alive. Are you joking, or is it true? He smiled, retrieved the gang sphere, manipulated my flying sword a few times, then returned it to me. It's true. Follow the path of record of surpassing cultivation and martial arts, and you'll understand the enlightenment of the ultimate pinnacle. Then you'll know what I mean. I'll remember that. I sheathed my sword and bowed to him in respect. Ha ha ha. Now that we've had enough fun, shall we go to the place you wanted to visit? Guided by Kim Young-hoon and another cultivator from the Jin clan, I headed to one of the outlying territories of the Jin clan. Mortals are hard at work. There are carpenters, gem cutters, and blacksmiths. Some are farming, and others are gathering herbs. They are commoners working in the Jin clan's territory. Though they all look tired, there is no apparent abuse or suffering. Indeed, working in the territory of a cultivator clan meant consistent prosperity, regardless of famine or disaster in other countries. It was not a bad situation for them. Of course, it might be different for those working under a devilish cultivator clan like the Mackley clan. Upon my arrival in the territory, I was informed that I could only follow certain paths and was subjected to a mild restriction on my consciousness. Guided by Kim Young-hoon and a Jin clan supervisor, I started looking for familiar faces. They've all grown up so much. They were just boys and girls, students in training when I had infiltrated the territory years ago. Now, each one of them looked like a young adult. Chungya seems to be practicing medicine. I remembered she had learned assassination and poison skills under me in the previous life, and it seems she found her calling. Hia is weaving. Ha ha, she always had delicate hands, better suited for this than wielding weapons. Yo-Lo is working with wood. He looks much more suited for this. Is Di-hyun a carpenter? And so on, I observed my past life's disciples. All of them are healthy and alive, not enduring harsh training for assassination, but rather doing what seems to suit them. I was looking at my grown-up disciples from my past life when the Kai refining supervisor asked, "You came to see the children of your acquaintances, but you haven't spoken to anyone." "That's right. Why don't you talk to them?" Kim Young-hoon, too, found my behavior strange and asked. I gave a small laugh. "Then let's talk to the next person." The next one I visited was Na-hyun, the foolhardy disciple who first ran away from me and rashly decided to assassinate the emperor, and who died first. Is that Na-hyun's house? I went to Na-hyun's home to see what he was doing. There was smell of wood from his house, and he was carving something inside his small workshop. Na-hyun is a carpenter, it seems. What is he carving? I peeked into his workshop, and I could see he was carving a family. There was a statue of parents and siblings sitting happily together, with Na-hyun himself carved in the middle. It seems to be his family who had been killed by the Mackley clan. Looking closely, I saw that his workshop was filled with similar family sculptures. I quietly observed these sculptures. Suddenly, Na-hyun saw my shadow cast into the workshop, flinched, and looked up at me. "Who are you?" I gestured to the cultivator and Kim Young-hoon to leave us alone. They nodded and stepped back. "Is that your family?" "Yes, it is. Do you find your work fulfilling?" "Yes, but—" "Who are you?" he cautiously asked, eyeing the black robe of the Chungmun clan I was wearing. "Just a passerby." "Oh, I see." Of course, Na-hyun didn't seem convinced, his eyes holding a hint of suspicion. "So, what brings you here? It seems you miss your parents." "Yes. They passed away when I was young. I miss them terribly and find myself doing this often." "Do you harbor any resentment for not being able to see your parents?" He became more respectful, thinking I was related to a cultivator clan, and answered. "The day after we completed our grueling training, the severed head of Emperor Mackley Jung, our enemy, was placed in our training ground. At first, I didn't know whose head it was, but after finding out, I felt a bit of my resentment dissipate. Of course, it didn't completely resolve my feelings. But it's not unbearably painful anymore. That's good to hear. May I ask who you are? Just a guest of the Jin clan. Oh, I see. I apologize. My place is like this, and I have nothing to offer. It's fine. I'll be going. I left Na-hyun's house, leaving him behind as he tried to offer hospitality. They're living well. That's good. Yet at the same time, I felt a pang in my heart. After all, these are not my disciples, My disciples are in another timeline. Thump, thump. I pushed the surging emotions deep inside. Then I went to the last house. It was Man-Ho's house, the representative of my disciples. I've heard some interesting rumors about Man-Ho on the way. As I approached Man-Ho's house, a woman emerged from inside, waddling. Her belly is swollen with life inside her. Her face is one I know well. It's KHWA. Man-Ho, you succeeded after all. She was hanging laundry on the line. Suddenly, Man-Ho ran up to her, passed by me without noticing, and rushed towards her. Honey, I brought the persimmons you wanted. Oh, you noisy man. You'll startle the baby, and look at your clothes, they're torn. I just mended them, and you tore them again. Sorry, honey. Oh dear, it's so hard to live with you. After scolding Man-Ho for a moment, KHWA suddenly clutched her belly and sat down on the porch. Oh, look at this. The baby is kicking. Really? With my heightened senses from being in the 5 energies converging to the origin, I clearly heard the sound of life kicking inside her. Man-Ho, grinning ear to ear, put his ear to KHWA's belly and laughed. Unknowingly, I realized I was crying while watching them. Ah, yes, you too had this possibility, not a life of harsh training, covered in blood, listening to the ghosts and resentments of dead family members, but simply doing what you wish to do. Living a new life, you had this possibility. Sniff, sniff. I couldn't help but let the emotions I had pushed inside erupt a little. I am so happy that these children could grow up and live such lives. At the same time, I am so sad that these children are not my disciples, that they have no relation to me anymore. The children with whom I had a relationship were in another timeline, the children I could only teach blood and death. I was joyful at the vastly different lives these children are living, yet paradoxically pained that I would never see them again. This is the reality of regression. No matter what relationships I form, they all disappear, moving to another timeline. Even if I form similar relationships with the same people in each cycle, all the characters in each cycle are actually completely different people who just look the same. Unlike calling Kim Young-hoon Hyung Nim like the first and second cycles, I now call him Kim Hyung for this reason. Of course, since he was essentially the same person, I couldn't completely change how I address him, and in urgent situations or without thinking, I sometimes call him Young-hoon Hyung Nim. But regardless, the Kim Young-hoons are clearly different people from the ones in my past cycles. The same went for my disciples. The definition of a relationship lies in the time spent together. These are not my disciples who had spent time with me. They are entirely different people, on the first day of this life. I thought I had buried the memories of my past life, but how could human emotions be simply buried? The memories and emotions of teaching those children had become a part of my life. I'm sorry. My disciples from my past life, I'm so sorry for not allowing you to dream of such a possibility. And thank you. Children of this life, thank you for living this way. As my emotions intensified, the record of transcending cultivation and exhausting martial arts that I had been unconsciously maintaining was released. Suddenly, KHWA noticed me and was startled. Oh, who is that? Ah, what? He's crying. I wiped my tears and smiled at them. I apologize. Seeing you two reminded me of some people I knew. Precious people who I can never see again. Oh dear, we've had similar pains. If you don't mind, would you like to come in for a cup of tea? It's fine. Your peaceful home is more fragrant than any tea. May you have 100 years of harmony. I finished speaking and bowed to them before using the record of transcending cultivation and exhausting martial arts. They were surprised to see me suddenly disappear like a ghost and looked around, then seemed to realize I was a cultivator and accepted it. Have you seen everyone? Yes. I've met everyone I needed to. I avoided eye contact with Kim Young-hoon and looked up at the sky. Today, my resolve has solidified even more. I will escape this cycle of regression, and to do so, I will elevate my realm even further, to ensure my life is not invalidated by the play of time. A few days later, when it was time for the delegation from the Chungmun clan to return, I bid farewell to Kim Young-hoon and returned to the Chungmun clan. After paying a brief visit to the head of the Chungmun clan and being assigned a significant role, I was allowed to stay in the main house of the clan. I then became a disciple of a Kai building elder named Chungmun Ryong, introduced by Chungmun Byok. Taking a disciple's stance before him, I made a vow. Even if my body breaks to pieces, no matter what happens, I will aim for the higher realms. Translator notes: recently bought Tactics Ogre Reborn since it was on sale for the Switch. I've always heard it was one of the best alongside Final Fantasy Tactics, but unfortunately, FFT has no PC version, and I have to set up an emulator to play. Just finished Chapter 1 in my first playthrough, and I'm expectant for what to come. As a consequence, though, the stockpile of chapters have dropped Kekwa. Chapter 44, Kai Refining 4. So you are the martial artist of the 5 energies converging to the origin, aren't you? Chungmun Ryong sneered upon our first meeting. Martial artists are all similar, mostly ignorant. I doubt you could even begin to understand the true words and law decrees I've been studying. I will do my best. Best. Everyone has their limits. Know yours and behave accordingly. I don't particularly need a disciple, but since the clan leader commanded me to accept you for the sake of maintaining the Chungmun clan's dignity, I have no choice. With an annoyed expression, he threw a book at me. Kai Refining First Star. It seems you're at the first stage of the 72 Earthly Sha. You've only activated one spiritual meridian, the Earth Leader Spiritual Meridian. I have no intention of properly teaching someone as clueless as you, so just read and learn from this. The title of the book was 72 Earthly Sha Commandments Explained. Given that it included the name Chungmun Ryong, it appeared to contain his insights on the 72 Earthly Sha true words. After throwing the book, Chungmun Ryong, with a huff, went into his room and warned me. Just so you know, don't even think about entering my room when I'm inside. Speak from outside. I can't be bothered to see your face. After receiving his grumpy warning, I bowed and returned to my room to read the book. Although my cultivation was only at Kai Refining First Star, my pure strength is known to be above Kai Refining 14th Star, but below Kai Building. Consequently, the resources provided to me as a cultivator increased significantly. I received 30 spirit stones per month and was granted access to the main spiritual vein of the Chungmun clan. I also gained access to the lower-level library of the clan's archive. Additionally, the number of mandatory missions I had to undertake was reduced from 4 to 1 per month. Of course, the difficulty of these missions increased, but they were manageable. I spent my time locked in my room, constantly studying the 72 Earthly Sha commandments explained and practicing reciting the true words and forming hand seals. Sometimes when I felt suffocated, I would contact Kim Young-hoon in Yongyuo to spar and exchange martial insights, constantly reciting true words, forming hand seals, and practicing spell techniques. 5 years passed like this. Kai Refining First Star. I've reached half of it. I had deciphered 38 of the 72 Earthly Sha true words and activated 38 spiritual meridians. This was the result of continuously using spirit stones, accessing the dragon vein of the Chungmun clan's main house, and learning from Chungmun Ryong. Master, I don't quite understand the meaning of the true word for the geographical star. You foolish boy. Even after giving you the 72 Earthly Sha commandments explained, you still don't get it. You're so dull and infuriating. When I asked for guidance outside Chungmun Ryong's room, he ranted at me for a while. However, after the scolding, he eventually explained the meaning of the true word to me and shared his annotations. For the first year, he wouldn't even answer my questions. But after a year of persistently sitting outside his room from morning till night, asking for guidance, he finally gave in while grinding his teeth, calling me a stubborn fool, and began teaching me, albeit with curses. That's my interpretation of the geographical star true word. Are you satisfied now, you stubborn and dull fool? If it wasn't for the leader's command, I would have killed you long ago. Disciple is grateful for your teachings, master. I will take my leave. After bowing to Chungmun Ryong, who was cursing from the other side of the door, I returned to my room to continue studying and reciting true words. While other disciples of the Chungmun clan enjoyed touring Byokra country, while others rested and slept, while others interacted and had fun, I, from morning till night, tirelessly recited the 72 earthly Sha true words and practiced hand seals, seeking enlightenment. One day, my throat parched and I reached for a teacup which then slipped from my grasp. Luckily, my quick reflexes caught it, preventing it from breaking, but I realized why it had slipped. My fingerprints had been erased from constantly forming hand seals. Even while eating, I would recite true words and read the 72 earthly Sha commandments explained. Of course, I also diligently practiced martial arts while reciting true words. Buzz, whoosh, whoosh. My sword flew through the air. It wasn't me wielding it. It soared and danced in the air on its own. After starting to use dual energy sword control, I think dual energy because consciousness and gang Kai. From the record of surpassing cultivation and martial arts, I continuously practiced it while reciting true words and forming hand seals. Even controlling the sword with my consciousness within my room. As I became more accustomed to detaching my consciousness and inputting actions into the sword with intent, my flying sword became as natural as if it were alive. But still, the path of 5 energies converging to the origin was vast and profound, and I was still only at Kai refining 1 star, one day, after continuously practicing the dual energy sword control, 72 earthly Sha true words, and hand seals for 10 consecutive nights. Blood dripped from my hands. Literally, my skin peeled and bled from endlessly forming hand seals. Yet, I kept on, undeterred by the bleeding, continuously forming hand seals and reciting true words. Indeed, it was only now that I bled, when wielding the sword. How much blood had flowed from these hands? How many times had they peeled and torn? Yet, on the path of cultivation, only now had my hands torn to this extent. Drip, drip. Seeing the blood, I used dual energy sword control to clean the bloodstains in the room while using my internal energy to stop the bleeding. Continuing with the hand seals, the wounds eventually scabbed over after a day. But even after scabbing, the incessant hand seals caused the scabs to fall off, bleeding again. However, I did not stop. There was no time to stop, for the dull and those lacking in talent. Every moment was more precious than 1,000 gold. Thus, another 5 years passed. Click, click, click. Mumble, mumble. I recited the 72 earthly Sha true words from start to finish and formed hand seals. Then, when I recited the final true word corresponding to the Earth Dog Star, finally, I've understood all of the 72 earthly Sha true words. The last spiritual meridian was activated. Along with it, my ability to use spiritual power increased significantly, and my consciousness expanded slightly more. Kai refining 2nd star? Finally, I had reached Kai refining 2nd star, after 10 years. Reciting true words until my tongue cramped, practicing hand seals until my fingers bled overjoyed, I immediately ran to Chungmun Ryong's room and exclaimed, "Master, disciple has reached Kai refining 2nd star. Thanks to your teachings and the 72 earthly Sha commandments explained, I have understood all of the 72 earthly Sha true words. Thank you. Without the path you opened for me, I could not have achieved this. I am forever grateful." From inside Chungmun Ryong's room, I sensed a slight disturbance in his intent. After a moment, Chungmun Ryong spoke irritably. "Damn it, how could such a moron exist? It took you 10 years to reach Kai refining 2nd star. I can't deal with this. Such a fool for a disciple, damn it. I'll speak to the clan leader and have you expelled. Regardless, I am grateful for your grace, master. I will take my leave." Days passed, however, and the clan leader of the Chungmun clan said nothing to me, and Chungmun Ryong remained in his room. I then studied 5 surpassing paths to cultivation and earth-dwelling method in Kai refining 2nd star. After the 72 earthly Sha comes the 36 heavenly gang. Now, I had to recite and understand the 36 heavenly gang law decrees and condense 36 kinds of spiritual natures into my spiritual meridians. First, I went outside and recited the first of the 36 Heavenly Gang Law Decrees, corresponding to the Heaven Leader star. Rumble following the law decree of the Heaven Leader true word, the soil in front of me rose, forming an earth sphere at my eye level. Had it been water surpassing path or fire surpassing path, instead of earth surpassing path, it would have created water sphere or fire sphere instead. However, since I hadn't properly condensed the spiritual nature corresponding to the Heaven Leader star, and only used the law decree, the clump of soil soon crumbled and dispersed. The difference between the earthly Shah true words and the Heavenly Gang Law decrees is that, while the former primarily relies on the energy emanating from the body's spiritual meridian, the Heavenly Gang Law decrees mix the body's spiritual power with the spiritual energy of heaven and earth to manifest techniques. Contemplating the differences, I fully practiced the 36 types of Heavenly Gang Law decrees. Then, I went to seek guidance from Chungmun Ryong. Master, due to my limited understanding, I believe I need your guidance on the Heavenly Gang Law decrees. HMP, you should have had the sense to leave before I report to the clan leader. Are you still here? You dull thing, take this. Chungmun Ryong's door slightly opened, and a book was thrown through the gap. The title of the book was 36 Heavenly Gang Commandments Explained, containing Chungmun Ryong's commentary on the Heavenly Gang Law decrees, similar to the previous book on the earthly Shah. After expressing my gratitude again, I was about to return to my room to study the 36 Heavenly Gang Law decrees when he called out, "Wait, you fool. Are you aware of the recent news? Recent news? Tusk, even I know about it from my room. You're truly clueless, fool. Recently, our clan leader and the elders have been away. What has happened? It seems there have been atrocious massacres, too dreadful to witness, in the tribes and several cities near the eastern border of Byokra, next to the heaven-treading desert, as well as in the countries and cities beyond the desert. The exact reason is unknown, but not only the clan leader and the core formation elders of our Chungmun clan, but also those from the Jin, Makli, Gongmyo, Bayak, and other cultivator clans have headed to the heaven-treading desert. It seems to be a serious matter, and the Chungmun clan might face some chaos ahead. Be careful. Thank you for your concern. I'll continue my practice in my room until the clan leader returns, as if you do anything else. And know that once the clan leader returns, I'll petition to have you expelled." I bowed to Chungmun Ryong and returned to my room to study and read the 36 Heavenly Gang Commandments Explained. It was 6 months before the Chungmun clan's leader returned. That day, an emergency meeting was convened with all the elders, direct and collateral clan members, and key external members of the Chungmun clan. As a key external member, I was allowed to attend. What a formidable force. I silently marveled at the pressure from the Kai refining and Kai building cultivators filling the grand hall and their spiritual auras. Such a force could physically overturn a country, even without core formation cultivators. The clan leader, Chungmun Yongjin, had a grim expression after his 6-month absence. The reason for this emergency meeting today is to inform you that a great war might occur within the next 200 years. 200 years. I was startled by this time frame and listened intently to the clan leader. The details are complex, but from today, the Chungmun clan must prepare for this potential war. We will now prioritize merit over lineage. The Immortal Combat meeting, previously held every few years, will now be conducted every 6 months. We will also hold an annual competition for external members. Everyone should focus on improving their skills. Now, only the elders and senior members stay. Others may leave. We bowed to Chungmun Yongjin and left, while others from the Chungmun clan gathered to discuss. I, having no close associates due to my solitary training, was left to ponder alone. That night, after Chungmun Ryong returned late, I cautiously asked him, "Master, may I inquire about the basis for the clan leader's prediction?" HMPH. Why does it matter to you? You and I won't even be alive in 200 years. Just continue your usual training. Truly, his words made sense. I had about 30 to 40 years left in my lifespan. What use was worrying about events 200 years away? I should focus on the present. By the way, how many of the 36 heavenly gang law decrees have you mastered? How many spiritual natures have you condensed? Master, I have only managed to condense 3 natures. How frustrating. Read this book in 7 nights? Thought another book fell through the door gap. The book was titled Gangmyeong Record, containing comprehensive commentary on the 36 heavenly gang law decrees, seemingly an advanced version of the previous book. Thank you, Master. I bowed to Chungmun Ryong and returned to my room to read the book. Time passed quickly. 12 years. It took me 12 years to fully master the 36 heavenly gang law decrees and successfully condense 36 spiritual natures. Using the 72 earthly Sha spiritual meridians as a foundation, the 36 heavenly gang spiritual natures adhered and spread their nature throughout my entire body's spiritual meridians. Whoosh, the spiritual energy of heaven and earth was absorbed through my body's spiritual meridians and natures, increasing my spiritual power even more. Simultaneously, the spiritual meridians thickened and strengthened from absorbing the natures. After 22 years, I reached the 2nd star of Kai refining. Phew, it wasn't easy. I sighed and looked at myself in the bronze mirror of my room. In the mirror, I saw myself with a fully grown beard. Thanks to my transformation upon reaching the 5 energies converging to the origin, I had no wrinkles. Shaving my beard would make me look in my mid-20s, but I was growing anxious. My life was significantly passing by. Could I reach the 4th star of Kai refining before death? This pace was achieved only because I had access to the Chungmun clan's spiritual vein and abundant resources, along with Chungmun Ryong's focused teachings. If I had lived a normal life, it would have taken 30 years just to complete Kai refining 1st star over the last 12 years. Frustrated by my slow progress, Chungmun Ryong eventually stopped teaching from behind his door and began giving me direct advice. Although I was still not allowed in his room, at least I could now receive face-to-face guidance. Realizing that I could ascend to the 3rd star of Kai refining with 36 condensed spiritual natures, I immediately went to Chungmun Ryong to report my achievement. Master, I have finally reached the 3rd star of Kai refining. Thank you. Thanks for what? I've been suffocating with frustration for 12 years. Foolish boy, and why are you boasting to me about such a thing? The door opened, and a grumpy Chungmun Ryong with a long goat beard frowned at me. You dimwit. Come in, let's see how well you've understood the 36 heavenly gang law decrees. I hesitated, then smiled and entered his room. His room was filled with various books, making it cramped. Sitting amidst piles of books, he was annotating a book intently. Sit down. And when will you stop that absurd practice? He didn't offer me a cushion, but glared at me as he continued annotating. I forced a smile. Outside the room, my sword, following my consciousness and dual energy sword control, was practicing severing mountain swordsmanship. Over the past 22 years, I never stopped practicing martial arts, cultivation, true words, and spells. I could now even dual energy sword control in my sleep. But Chungmun Ryong seemed displeased with my actions. I know your nature is that of a swordsman, but with your limited talent, even focusing on one aspect is insufficient. How long will you keep up this madness along with your practice? Apologies, Master, but... Yes, I know. Martial arts are your life, right? I'm tired of hearing the same thing. Just be quiet and recite the law decrees. I recited the law decrees in front of Chungmun Ryong and answered his questions to assess my understanding. Soon after, he nodded in approval. Good, you have a decent understanding of the law decrees. Thank you, and now that you can ascend to 3rd star of Kai refining, it's time for appropriate teachings. Take this. He handed me a book titled 12 Earthly Branches Scripture. 12 Earthly Branches. Huangzhang, Dalu, Teiku, Jiazhang, Guxi, Zhonglu, Ruibin, Linzhang, Yais, Nanlu, Wuyi, Yingzhang. These are the 12 types of spiritual energy you will be able to receive. The key to the 3rd star of Kai refining is to evolve the 72 spiritual meridians and 36 spiritual natures. There are 5 elements of spiritual energy, which further split the 12 types. From these, 60 variations arise. However, knowing the types corresponding to the 12 earthly branches is enough to calculate the remaining 48 variations. You must understand all these variations and how spiritual energy operates in the world. Yes, I will take note. No, don't just take note. Read it here. Right now. Until now, you used to read books in your room and come back with questions. But I can't take it anymore. Just read it here and ask questions as they arise. In fact, just live here. I was momentarily taken aback, but then bowed to him, expressing my gratitude. Thank you for your grace, Master. Enough with the noise. Stop with the formalities and just finish reading the book. Urged by Chengmun Ryong, I quickly began reading the book. Kai Refining Third Star. The stage of 12 earthly branches begins with understanding the 12 types of spiritual energy. From this stage, a cultivator can start to deploy formations based on the types of spiritual energy, allowing them to manifest illusions and strange magical formations. To understand the 12 types of spiritual energy, it was essential to practice deploying formations based on Chengmun Ryong's advice. Fortunately, I had a knack for formations. Also, having learned techniques like Kai illusion transformation and Kai mechanisms under Kim Young-hoon in my previous lives, I was adept at mastering formations. The 12 types of spiritual energy are said to resemble waves. The range of frequencies from a certain point to below was called Huangjang spiritual energy, and the range beyond that was called Dalu spiritual energy. I endured Chengmun Ryong's constant beratings of being foolish and slow while trying to comprehend and master these types. 6 years passed. Whoosh, I evolved my spiritual meridians, thinking of my entire body as a formation diagram, to receive all the energy of the 12 earthly branches. I imprinted each spiritual meridian and nature with the energy of the 12 earthly branches. And then, flash, sigh. I successfully completed the third star of Kai Refining. Now, only the step beyond the 12 earthly branches separated me from the 4th star. I opened my eyes to find Chengmun Ryong glaring at me. You've finally succeeded. How slow can you be? Only now have you grasped the 12 earthly branches and completed 3rd star of Kai Refining. Despite having the strength of the 14th star, why do you take so long to learn? Haha, Master. The martial arts and cultivation methods I've learned are entirely different fields, aren't they? HMPH enough. At this rate, how much further can you advance in your lifetime? It's so frustrating. Follow me. I must teach you more quickly before I burst with frustration. He gathered several books and led me outside. You've laid the spiritual meridians with the 72 earthly Sha and can manifest spells from your body. You've condensed the spiritual natures with the 36 heavenly gang and learned to resonate spells with the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. With the 12 earthly branches, you've understood the types of spiritual energy and can mimic the flow of heaven and earth spiritual energy in your formations. The ancient characters representing the 72 earthly Sha, 36 heavenly gang, and 12 earthly branches floated around Chengmun Ryong. And now, you will enter the 10 heavenly stems diagram. If a cultivator's formation imitates the flow of heaven and earth, you need to learn the 10 heavenly stems diagram to fully harness the power of formations. The 10 heavenly stems diagram are ancient characters created by imitating 10 principal changes observed in the sky. Each character contains a principle of the heavens. Understanding the 10 principles of Jia, Yi, Bing, Ding, Wu, Jai, Zheng, Xin, Ren, and Gui will allow you to complete the 4th star of Kai Refining. The 10 heavenly stems corresponding to the 10 heavenly stems diagram moved according to Chengmun Ryong's will. Simultaneously, a formation of trees and plants unfolded around him. Based on the 12 earthly branches, the 10 heavenly stems were integrated into the formation. Whoosh. 10 changes multiplied by 12 types of spiritual energy, creating dozens of variations. At the center of these variations, Chengmun Ryong absorbed all the changes back into himself. See, this is the realm you must reach. This time, for heaven's sake, complete the 4th star within 3 years. I expect nothing more from a frustrating disciple like you. From that day, I began learning about the 10 heavenly stems diagram under Chungmun Ryong's guidance. Jia starts with Dalim tree and ends with Gui, which is rain dew water. Each of the 10 stems contain principles of yin and yang and the 5 elements. The 10 changes in spiritual energy essentially start from dividing the universe's 5 elements into yin and yang. The interpretation of yin-yang and 5 elements as the world's 10 principles. Apply the yin-yang 5 elements to the 12 earthly branches. The branches also contain interpretations of yin and yang, so by correlating them. Under Chungmun Ryong's tutelage, I learned about the 10 heavenly stems diagram, the earth-surpassing path, and the earth-dwelling method provided by Chungmun clan. I also acquired the supernatural spells recorded in the earth-dwelling method. Earth residence? Earth-dwelling formation. As I formed hand seals and recited incantations, the earth around me gathered, forming a formation. I enhanced the formation's power by applying the 12 types of spiritual energy and 10 changes to it. Boom! 6 hexagonal earth shields formed around me, encircling me. It was a defensive spell from the earth-dwelling method. I guided the spiritual energy, rotating the earth shields. Rumble, the heavy earth shields rotated around me, their weight and speed formidable enough to shred a person upon contact. The shields were so infused with spiritual power and energy that even sword silk couldn't cut through them. Kai refining 4th star. Now, I was in a similar realm to Emperor Makli Jung and his son Maki Hyun of Yongyuo. From Kai refining 4th star, the battle involves dominating the surrounding space. Using spiritual power to lay a formation and enhancing it with the 10 heavenly stems diagram, one can completely dominate the surrounding space. I could now, like Makli Hyun in my past life, control my surroundings with the earth element and fight. Master, look. I have succeeded in manifesting the formation. You fool. Is that something to be proud of, only just manifesting the formation now? Enough with the noise and focus more. Chungmun Ryong seemed perpetually exasperated with me. 5 years passed. Thanks to Chungmun Ryong's constant and intense guidance, I managed to fully grasp the transformations of the 10 heavenly stems diagram over 5 years. Whoosh, spiritual power unfolded, manifesting a formation diagram. 12 types of spiritual energy and 10 changes mixed, creating over 60 variations. I'll assimilate these 60 changes in spiritual energy into my meridians, rumble. The earth element's spiritual energy scattered in the formation around me returned, merging with the corresponding spiritual meridians. Assimilate, rumble, rumble, rumble. Numerous changes surged through the spiritual meridians like a raging torrent. Based on my understanding of the 10 heavenly stems diagram, I carefully absorbed the changes into my spiritual meridians. The spiritual meridians evolved. They became wider and capable of accommodating more changes. And when the spiritual meridians had fully absorbed all the changes, I finally broke through the long-awaited barrier. Finally, I completed the 4th star of Kai refining. I am now at Kai refining 5th star. Finally! As I opened my eyes, a loud cheer rang in my ears. It was my master. Finally, this damn fool has reached the 5th star of Kai refining. Ha ha ha, he laughed heartily, seemingly thrilled. This damn slow-witted disciple. I won. I managed to guide you with your terrible talent to the 5th star of Kai refining. Ha ha ha. Thank you, master. Ha ha, my foolish disciple. We embraced and shouted in triumph together. Translator notes. Sensei is a tsundeer tilde. It's interesting how we're reminded of the fight against Makli Hyun and Wangshin. Those two always had that huge whirlwind surrounding them, which didn't seem like a regular spell, and definitely not how Kai refining cultivators fight in other novels. Now, we understand the mechanisms behind the whirlwind, and that it's actually a formation. I find it pretty cool that one of the main combat methods of cultivators in this novel is a formation domain that aids them in casting and boosting spells and techniques, and that fighting for space with their formations plays a big role in who wins. Chapter 45, Forbidden One. This damn dullard. If I had known how hard it would be to teach him Taoist cultivation, I would have sent him away a long time ago. He coughed and pushed me away, stroking his beard as he spoke. Thanks to Master not sending me away, I was able to come this far. I smiled and replied to him. It took 10 years to complete the first star of Kai refining, 12 years for the second star, 6 years for the third star, 5 years for the fourth star. In total, it took 33 years. My body, rejuvenated through a complete transformation, seemed to age slowly. I still looked like I was in my 30s even though I was in my 60s. But I was increasingly concerned about the approaching end of my lifespan. In this life, I have even undergone a complete transformation. Yet, will I still die of natural causes? It was unknown. However, I was certainly getting a bit anxious. Master, I am sorry to ask, but could you perhaps teach me about the next stage? Yes, you know your place. A talentless person should quickly advance to the next stage. The fifth star of Kai refining follows the principles of the 9 palaces. You must converge the variations of your 108 spiritual meridians and 60 types of spiritual energy into 9 points. Attempt the integration of the 9 points into one, with the concepts of Teiyi, Shepti, Chuan Yuan, Zheayao, Tianfu, Qinglong, Hanji, Taiyin, and Tianyi. Start the integration of your spiritual meridians flowing through your body. I quietly sat and listened attentively to his words. The 9 palaces also connect with the principles of the 8 trigrams, serving as a stepping stone to the next stage. By mastering the 9 palaces, you can control the formation freely, bringing about any change within it. He demonstrated the formation of the wood attribute in front of me. The formation, created by the flow of the 12 earthly branches, enhanced its power to the extreme when combined with the 10 heavenly stems. As the 9 palaces integrated, the formation began to transform. The wood energy spread in all directions, changing erratically and disharmoniously under my master's will. If you successfully incorporate the principles of the 9 palaces into the formation, you can completely control and freely change the formation, achieving complete freedom within it. This reminded me of a few Kai refining 5th star cultivators I had fought against. Indeed, from the 5th star of Kai refining, the use of spells became incredibly flexible. Alongside him, I began to learn how to perceive the 9 points of integration of the 9 palaces, how to converge the numerous flows into 9 paths, and how to combine spells to use even more powerful ones. I delved into the 9 palaces, even bleeding from my hands from the effort of mastering its techniques, and reciting related mantras until my throat was hoarse for 7 years. Wuong integration was successful. The 108 spiritual meridians flowing through my meridian channels, the 60 variations. All converged significantly into 9 paths, and the previously diverse spiritual meridians settled in order. Kai refining 6th star? I exclaimed in ecstasy. I tried moving the spiritual power flowing through my meridians. Instantly, the formation unfolded, and inside it, changes occurred according to my will. Kuguk. Using the earth-dwelling method, 6 hexagonal shields condensed around me, but as I clenched my fist, the earth shields crumbled and transformed into earth spears. Now that I could change the formation at will, even defensive spells could be somewhat converted to offensive ones. Of course, their defensive power was still stronger. Let's see. I summoned the flying sword that was moving on its own in the distance. Fat. The sword flew through the air towards me. For the past 40 years, I had tirelessly practiced the record of surpassing cultivation and martial arts. It was now just a matter of inputting actions, and the movement has become incredibly free. Also, the knack of sending intent has become much easier. I called the sword in front of me, charged it with sword gang, and then sent the gang Kai-infused sword flying far away before shooting it back towards me. Pong! A sonic boom sounded. I launched an earth spear, transformed from the earth-dwelling method's formation, towards the gang Kai-infused sword. Quang! The earth spear and the sword collided. A gust of wind blew, A loud boom resounded, and when the dust settled, only my flying sword remained. However, since I controlled the sword, I could feel the rebound and estimated the power of the earth spear. It has the power of Gang Kai used by 3 flowers gather at the summit martial artists. It was powerful enough to easily destroy the defensive spells of Kai refining cultivators. Ha, this ignorant one, so energetic this early in the morning. And then, through the dust cloud, my master walked towards me, smiling. Congratulations. You useless guy, how lacking must your talent be that it took you 7 years to reach Kai refining 6th star? Ha, still. I will complete the 6th star as quickly as possible. That's right. The 6th star, the stage of 8 trigrams completed path, is the easiest in Kai refining. If you can't do this, I really might kill you. He spoke thus, but he looked very pleased, his intent colored with the golden color of joy. Do not worry, master. I have already studied the 6th star in advance. I learned that it involves completing the spiritual meridians according to the principles of the 8 trigrams. It's a field I am somewhat confident in. HMPH, confident you say. But it's completely different from the internal energy methods martial artists like you are used to. If you don't understand the images of the 8 trigrams, you can't do anything. He handed me a stack of books. Read all of these. I personally annotated these for a dullard like you. Otherwise, it would be a waste of time if it's too difficult for someone with your lacking talents. I'm always grateful. Then please do well. I also delved deeply into the 8 trigrams. Kaian, Dui, Lai, Zhen, Zun, Kan, Zhen, Kun. I completely mastered the 8 trigram images. I solved several questions I had about spiritual roots. For instance, there are only 5 types of spiritual roots in the 5 elements. Yet, how could the Mackley clan cultivate methods outside of the 5 elements like wind and yin? Of course. I heard about some special spiritual roots and spiritual energy. The rare ones such as Jian Myung-hoon's heavenly golden thunder body and Kang Min-hee's ghostly and transforming immortal root. But typically, it's said that no cultivator can go beyond the 5 elements' spiritual roots. And now, by studying the trigrams, I understood methods beyond the 5 elements. The 5 elements are interconnected with the 8 trigrams. Kaian and Dui are metal. Lai is fire. Kan is water. Zhen and Zun are wood. Zhen and Kun are earth. In this way, someone with a wood element could use Zun, representing wind, to specialize in wind-based spells. The more I studied the trigram images, the more I could overlap the flow of the 8 trigrams with the formation. And integrating the 8 trigrams into my spiritual meridians was the easiest part of my cultivation so far. The difficult part was understanding the meanings of the 8 trigrams, and I spent a lot of time on that. After 3 years of delving into the 8 trigrams, I completely mastered and concluded the formation within the same time frame. As the formation concluded, I felt all the spiritual meridians in my body, following the 8 trigrams, become activated. All the spiritual meridians throughout my body connected, forming a circle. Kugagugu. The flow of spiritual power in my meridians became incredibly free, and its speed was terrifyingly fast. In the midst of this pure and swift flow of spiritual meridians, I sensed something strange, something impure. Ah, is this the internal energy from the Dragon Vein Kai method? The internal energy from the internal energy method, impure compared to the spiritual energy of cultivation, remained impurely in my meridians. I feel irritated by it, but I'm not sure why. However, I didn't think much about the internal energy from the Dragon Vein Kai method and reported the results to my master. Kahahaha, excellent, truly my disciple. My master was very happy, patting my shoulder. This stupid one. It took you 43 years to complete Kai refining 6th star and enter the 7th? You really are a dullard. Although he said that, he looked very happy. Suddenly, he took something out of his pocket. That is, I trembled slightly at the sight of what my master took out. Your achievements seem to be growing, which eases my mind. Even if it's just a little, I want you to have some accomplishments in this life. This is a gift for you. What he took out of his robe was a small silk box, exuding a familiar fragrance. When my master opened the box, inside were 3 pills emitting a faint red glow. Blessing pill. For mortals, it extends life by 10 years. For Kai refining cultivators, it can extend life up to 8 years or 6 years if some resistance has developed. It's a precious elixir. Master. I knew you'd be grateful. I'm tired of hearing thanks, just eat it. I'm sorry. What? He frowned as if he couldn't believe what he heard. Am I hearing things wrong? Surely I heard you correctly? You heard me right, Master. I cannot consume that pill. Are you mad? This is an elixir that can extend life by 8 years. Do you not understand how precious and valuable this is, you foolish boy? Master, do you know the ingredients of the blessing pill? At my words, he looked at me as if I was speaking nonsense. How would I know that? I've spent 250 years dedicated to studying spells, mantras, and formations. Do you think I had time to learn about alchemy, a completely different field? Pill refining knowledge is difficult to obtain unless you're a professional alchemist. The Mackley clan is famous for alchemy, so even their collateral branches know a fair bit about it. As I always say, a dullard should focus on just one field. So, not only my master, but many others are unaware of this alchemy. They don't know what the blessing pill and Kai building pill are made of. Should I tell him? After a moment of hesitation, I closed my eyes and said, I am sorry, Master, but I have reasons why I cannot consume that pill. Please believe me. Damn it. You refuse the elixir that your master went through so much trouble to get. Fine, it's yours anyway, do with it as you please. I'm leaving. Annoyed, my master handed me the silk box and left. I stared blankly at the blessing pill in my hand. Mackley Hyun's words still echoed in my ears. Elixirs made from humans. Should I really consume this? I bit my lip. No, it's not right. No matter how much it could extend my life, no matter how precious it is to continue the ties of this life. If I abandon my humanity in this life, it's all for naught. I apologized inwardly to my master, then went to a mountain near the Chingmun clan's main house. There, I dug a hole and buried the 3 pills. After covering them with earth and forming a small mound, I performed a solemn ritual and recited a prayer. Of course, there were no souls lingering in these remnants, but I prayed for the peace of the souls sacrificed for the pills. I'm sorry, Master. Even if it is a gift from my master, I cannot consume something made of humans. What am I doing? Honestly, it would have been in my best interest to consume it without question. How much longer do I have to live, and who am I to know? It's best to extend life whenever possible. I just reached Kai refining 7th star, and there's still so much ahead, unclear and uncertain. While I've made significant progress in 5 energies converging to the origin through practicing the record of surpassing cultivation and martial arts, the next stage still seems far away. Unlike the realms I achieved so far, 3 flowers gather at the summit. 5 energies converging to the origin, the ultimate pinnacle, felt too far away and elusive. This life alone would not be enough. Perhaps another life might be needed. Thus, the elixir promising to extend life by over 10 years is undoubtedly a tremendous opportunity for me. But, no matter how great the opportunity, I cannot bring myself to consume it. It wasn't just about this pill. I resolved never to swallow any elixir created through wrongful means. I slowly descended the mountain and returned to the Chingmun clan's main house. I went to greet my master. Have you come? Yes. Well then, let's study regarding Kai refining 7th star. My master, perhaps a bit hurt by my refusal of his gift, opened the book with a somewhat gloomy expression. The 7th star is known as the 7 stars ritual. It involves offering rituals to 7 of the 28 celestial stars governing the spiritual nature of heaven and earth. It's essentially declaring to the celestial deities that you are embarking on the path of immortal cultivation. Up to now, completing your spiritual meridians through the 72 earthly Sha true words, 36 heavenly gang law decrees, 12 earthly branches, 10 heavenly stems diagram, 9 palaces integration, and 8 trigrams completed path was, in a way, preparing the altar for this 7 stars ritual. Your body, your formation, and your spells become an altar to connect with the celestial deities. He continued his explanation. In fact, there's nothing special you need to realize at this stage. The 7 stars ritual involves using your body as the altar and your soul as the priest to conduct a ritual communicating with the celestial deities. Of course, you'll need to learn how to conduct the ritual, calculate the best time to receive the celestial star's power, and interpret celestial patterns. Reading celestial patterns is a skill I had previously learned during my time as chief advisor in the Woolen Alliance, so it didn't seem too difficult. In reality, besides learning about a few unknown stars and their associated symbolism, there wasn't much new to learn compared to before. Is the 7th star one of the easier stages? Furthermore, since the ritual involves offering to the 7 stars and receiving celestial energy bestowed by the heavens to evolve the meridians, most cultivators quickly pass this stage. Of course, for those with a heavenly spiritual root, calculating the exact time is crucial in the 7th star stage. But that was a unique case, not applicable to me. Following my master's guidance, I read the constellations, calculated celestial patterns, and determined the most auspicious time for myself. Fortunately, the right time wasn't far off, and my master, using his authority as an elder, built a small altar for me at a place where the dragon veins converged near the Chengmun clan's main house. Tonight is the right time for you. Yes, prepare thoroughly. Have you fully grasped the ritual process? Yes, of course. And are you satisfied with this constellation? The 28 celestial stars represent the spiritual nature of heaven and earth. Among them, choosing the constellation that best fits the night's timing and receiving blessings from its 7 stars is the key to the 7 stars ritual. I heard that depending on which constellation you offer rituals to in Kai refining 7th star, it determines the stage in Kai building where you'll receive assistance. Yes, I'm very satisfied with this constellation. It was chosen by you, Master, after all. HMPH, flattery? Never mind. The sun will set soon. Prepare for the ritual. Yes. I arrived at the altar and completed the process of transforming my body into a small altar using my spells. Now, as the sun set and the stars began to cover the sky, I plan to start the ritual. The sun sets, and the stars begin to rise. Begin, I'll assist you. Yes. I started the ritual, offering it to the celestial deities, moving the formation around the altar in the midst of the ritual. And thus I pray to the celestial gods and warriors for blessings. Whoosh, the wind blows. What? Both my masters and my expressions began to change. Rumble, rumble. The sky was clear. Just moments ago, there wasn't a single cloud, and my master had precisely calculated the weather to choose this night. It was supposed to be clear tonight. But suddenly, dark clouds began to gather in the sky. The sky is obscured. The clear moonlight and stars hid behind the clouds. My altar, preparing to communicate with the stars, lost its connection and dissipated. The celestial deities descending from the sky were abruptly cut off. Don't panic. It's just an unexpected cloud. Plus, I don't feel any water vapor. It's not a storm cloud that will bring rain, just a passing one. The wind is strong, so it'll soon pass. Master, can you disperse it? Foolish boy, didn't you listen to my explanation? I can only assist your ritual. Direct intervention is impossible, especially in matters related to the heavens. If I interfere with the heavens and blow away the clouds, your ritual will immediately fail. Then I'll wait. I paused the ritual for a moment and looked up at the sky, waiting for the clouds to disperse. And then, it was morning. As the stars vanished and the sun rose, the clouds dispersed as if they were never there, as though their only purpose had been to obstruct my ritual the previous night. How can this be? Although I was quite surprised, my master seemed even more bewildered, staring at the sky in disbelief. Heavens obstructing a cultivator's auspicious time? No, this can't be. There must be some mistake. Yes, that's it. I'm sorry, my disciple. It seems I miscalculated the auspicious time, Master. However, I couldn't help but feel an ominous sense about it all and questioned him. Can such a celestial phenomenon occur due to a miscalculation of the auspicious time? No, of course not. That was just an anomaly. Yes, perhaps it wasn't the auspicious time, but a serious miscalculation of the weather. My disciple, I'll recalculate the appropriate time soon, and we'll perform the ritual again. Understood. I sighed softly and stepped down from the altar. After all, life doesn't always go as planned. I knew better than anyone that life doesn't always follow our desires. I decided to wait, as I had always done. We calculated another auspicious time, set up the altar again, and prepared for the ritual. This time it's certain we'll definitely receive the celestial deity's energy. I've even precisely calculated the weather this time, so. However, as night fell, the sky darkened, not with the darkness of the night, but with ominous clouds. Large curtains of clouds covered the entire sky, appearing out of nowhere. This is impossible. My calculations can't be wrong. My master was so panicked he shouted, "Again, it's happening again, what is this?" Thus, the second ritual also came to nothing. Let's try again, a setback like this can happen twice, ha ha ha. This time I'll calculate the perfect auspicious time and set up the altar properly. Months later. My master had calculated another suitable time for me. Furthermore, this time, we headed east of Biokra, to a place in the middle of the heaven-treading desert, not rich in spiritual energy, but where clouds never formed. This area is known as the windy plains of the heaven-treading desert, where the wind is strong and the air is dry, so clouds absolutely never form. Since the surrounding area is a rocky desert, there won't be any sandstorms either, so this time the ritual will surely be completed. Again, as the sun set and the stars rose, I began to prepare the ritual. This time, everything seemed to be going smoothly until the final stage of the ritual, when I was about to receive the celestial energy from the stars. Rumble, rumble. Dark clouds began to gather in the sky. The clouds, before I could even finish the ritual procedure, completely covered the dry desert sky. No, 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 my master cried out as if his own ritual had been interrupted, but the clouds remained immovable, blocking the sky and cutting off the celestial energy. Ah! Why can't my disciple succeed? Why? Rumble, rumble, my master's spiritual power surged towards the sky, attempting to clear the clouds. The formidable spiritual power of a Kai-building cultivator lit up the night sky as the clouds dispersed. But perhaps because my master intervened with the heavens, the stars that had been sending down their energy stopped, and so the ritual ended. Why is this happening? Why? He chewed his lips, pacing around for a while, and then sighed. Let me find out why this is happening. Let's go back, my disciple. We returned to the Chingmun clan's main house on my master's flying artifact. After that, he frequented the clan's library, rummaging through all sorts of ancient texts. He had always been a man of many books, but now he was pulling out even more books in a frenzy, searching for something related to my condition. About a month later, my master came to me with bloodshot eyes. "I've found out about your condition." What could it possibly be? After a moment of hesitation, biting his lip, he spoke. The next moment, I felt as if my heart had crumbled at the words that came out of my master's mouth. The world is forbidding you. It's a symptom shown by the heavens to those whom they forbid immortal cultivation. Forbid. Immortal cultivation. You were not born with the fate to be a cultivator. I'm sorry, my disciple. There's nothing I can do for you. Translator notes, Yoon Hyun just can't catch a break. When I first read this, I actually felt my heart drop, just thinking about how much difficulties and hardships await our MC. Chapter 46, Forbidden too, forbidden me that I cannot cultivate? Master, I don't quite understand and I have a question. What is it? Does fate truly exist? Yes, it does exist. What we humans call fate definitely exists and it affects every living being in this world. My fingertips were trembling. If fate truly exists, then what about the free will of living beings? Doesn't it mean it's non-existent? If free will doesn't exist and everything is predetermined, then what's the meaning of all this? Well, it's not exactly like that. Cultivators who have received the blessing of the 7 stars, controlled by the celestial power of heaven, can faintly perceive fate starting from the Kai refining 7th star. You might think you've only learned about astronomy and reading the constellations, but from the moment a cultivator is granted permission by the heavens, they are allowed to vaguely perceive the heavenly mechanism. The master's explanation continued. Of course, it's impossible for a human to directly witness the vast entity known as fate. However, it's possible to read the very basics of it. From the Kai refining 7 stars, a cultivator can read their own lifespan and know how much of their life remains. Lifespan. Are you saying that a human's lifespan is predetermined? Yes. Then, what is the purpose of cultivation? Why do cultivators continue to cultivate even knowing their lifespan is predetermined? That's because, while lifespan is certainly fixed, it's not absolute. Lifespan, not absolute. For instance, a cultivator at the Kai refining stage has at most the same lifespan as a mortal. But from the Kai building stage, they receive additional lifespan from the heavens as they ascend in their cultivation. The Kai building stage grants 300 years of lifespan, the core formation 600 years, the nascent soul 1200 years, and heavenly being 2400 years. Although the exact lifespan varies, a cultivator receives a new lifespan from heaven as they elevate their realm. That's why cultivators themselves bring change to the heavenly mechanism, and since ancient times, cultivators have also been called heaven defiers. Then, can't I too receive a new fate as a cultivator? It's not necessarily so. While it's said that a human can receive a new fate, in reality, the heavens often grants a fate that transcends lifespan from the beginning. His complexion grew dark. Born with natural talent, spiritual meridians, and spiritual roots. The fate one is born with becomes the standard of whether one can change their lifespan. Am I destined not to become a cultivator, born with a fate that cannot escape its own fate? It seems so, I asked in astonishment. Then is there really no way? I've looked, and there seems to be none. I'm sorry. The lifespan set by the heavens, I don't understand it. Aren't the heavens just a concept? Isn't the blue sky what we call the heavens? The heavens are not merely that. It's the law that flows through this world. A vast and immense principle. That's what the heavens are. Indeed, the heavens, this world, does not permit me. We are all born with a fate given by the heavens, grow up and die. Cultivators may defy the heavens and cause changes in the heavenly mechanism. In reality, no cultivator can escape the grace of the heavens that gave them birth. Therefore, while one can overcome their lifespan, the fate to do so is also granted by the heavens. Master held my hand and said, I too have experienced it, although I can't compare to you. His voice was trembling. I spent my life striving and striving, bloodied my fingers forming hand seals and my voice hoarse from chanting mantras. Through a lifetime of effort, I barely reached the Kai building stage. But with my talent, the early Kai building stage was my limit. Master was a person of 3 spiritual roots. He had true spiritual roots quality, but his spiritual meridians were weak, and he was born with impurities in his body, so he could only stay at the early Kai building stage. My obsession with enlightenment and lifelong dedication to mantra and spell research was to enable my disciples, even with lesser talent, to ascend as much as possible in their cultivation realms. And you, a person of 5-element spiritual roots, from a lowly mortal to reaching the Kai refining 7th star, you've splendidly proven the values I've pursued. But it seems everyone has their limits. The words I heard on the day I first met him. Those words were meant for me, but now they were directed at himself. I'm sorry for being such an inadequate master. I'm sorry for having such a fate and not being able to do anything for you. No, I too am sorry for being so inadequate. The two of us clenched our teeth and apologized to each other. There's nothing more I can do for you, but, although it might not be possible, I'll still try. I'll scour through more ancient texts and rituals to see if someone not born with the fate of a cultivator can be granted permission by the heavens. Thank you. What else can someone abandoned by the heavens do? Heavens have set our fate, but it has not dictated how we live within it. So let's struggle as much as we can together. Our eyes met. That's the best I can do for you as your master. I didn't answer. I just clenched my lips and bowed my head. Though silent, we understood each other's hearts. From that day, my daily life changed significantly. I no longer formed hand seals until my fingers bled, nor practiced cultivation methods. Instead, I scoured the Chengmun clan's library with my master, searching through all sorts of ancient texts and ritual books. What is the criterion for those permitted or not permitted by the heavens? Is it because of my internal energy? Or is it because, as a martial artist born without spiritual roots, I forcibly acquired spiritual roots by reaching the 5 energies converging to the origin? Or is it because I came from another world? Or because of my regression? Or is it just my fate? However, among the ancient texts, content about humans rejected by the heavens were extremely rare. It was exceedingly difficult to find. Nevertheless, as I read books about the heavens, the heavenly mechanism, and fate, I began to understand the concept of fate a bit more. It was said that from the Kai refining 7th star, cultivators begin to read their own fate. Of course, it isn't detailed, only a rough estimate of their lifespan. And as their cultivation realm ascends, they become more accurate in knowing how much lifespan remains. A Kai-building cultivator vaguely knows whether upcoming events in their life will be good or bad. By the core formation stage, this becomes more detailed, understanding the auspiciousness and danger of forthcoming events. For those above the nascent soul stage, there was no information on how accurately they perceive fate, but it was said to be more precise than core formation cultivators. I also found books on human free will. For example, if a mortal is granted about 80 years of lifespan by the heavens, do they necessarily live for 80 years? What happens if a cultivator with bad intentions kill a mortal who has an 80-year lifespan prematurely? The answer was, the heavens only bestows fate, but it doesn't concern itself with how a being walks that fate. In short, humans are given a path named fate, but due to external pressures or their own will, some may not fully complete the path of their destined fate. So that's it. As I read books about fate, I thought about what had happened to me before. Even though my initial life and health conditions changed in many lives, I died on exact the same day at the same time, under the same circumstances. Does that make sense statistically? Even when my health varied in each life, I once thought that maybe fate really existed and that perhaps I had no free will. But then, when I beheaded Crown Prince Makli Hyun, for the first time, I died before my destined lifespan and thought that lifespan wasn't fixed. However, according to this book, the heavens granted me a lifespan of about 50 years. If I walk the path of fate properly, I can live according to that lifespan. But if I die earlier due to external pressure or my own choices and will, then I cannot complete the path of the fate granted to me. If fate is a path given to humans, then humans have free will, as asserted by this book. Of course, the problem is that one cannot go beyond the path of the fate given. The book similarly explained fate. Heavens gift humans with fate, but not all humans can walk the path of their given fate. Some, due to lack of willpower, others due to external circumstances. But even if one walks the path of fate to its end, there's no path laid out by the heavens beyond it. That would be the limit of that existence. Humans can live freely until they reach their fate. But reaching beyond is impossible. Living freely during the life gifted by the heavens is the right and virtue of all mortals. With the statement that every being should live freely and gratefully within the life given to them, the book came to an end. Is this book like that? I thought the fate described in the book was similar to the book itself. I don't know how much content the author of the book wanted to include, but there's a limit to the size and amount of the paper, and the book has its own limits. The author writes the desired narrative within the set length of the book, but cannot exceed it. No narrative can go beyond the book. When the book is closed, the story ends. This is the concept of fate. Then, is this really the end for me? Really, am I? No, it's not. I clenched my teeth. Even if closing the book means the end, my story continuously returns to the beginning. Surely, heavens have bestowed this fate upon me. If heavens have given me this fate, there must be a reason. I have overcome fate time and time again. In my first life, I was just a miserable beggar destined to die. But what about now? I have mastered the sword. With mediocre talent, I reached the 5 energies converging to the origin, a legendary realm in martial arts. I forcibly acquired the ability to cultivate, said to be possible only for those born with spiritual roots. Even though fate weighed me down, I have surpassed it time and time again. There must be a solution. There must be a solution. I read and reread ancient texts like a madman one day. My master came with a book, his eyes bloodshot. I found an ancient text in the upper archives of our clan. The book master brought had no title and looked like it was about to turn to dust. Read it. I read the book. It was a collection of ancient unofficial histories. These stories included a young man melting ice in a river with his body heat to catch a carp for his sick mother in winter, and a blind man regaining his sight after praying to the heavens. A story of an old man whose life was extended by performing 1,000 rituals for the heavens, even though he was supposed to die. Although it's unofficial history and mostly about mortals, don't they share something in common? Yes, miracles happen in impossible situations. Right. Especially the last story in the collection about the old man gaining extra life after performing rituals. Maybe. Keep trying and trying again, and it will happen? Yes. These stories contain the lesson that if one devotes all their sincerity, even the heavens are moved. Even mortals can move heavens with their sincerity. Master's voice trembled. Of course, it also means that what we've been doing so far might not be sincere enough. Indeed, who hasn't made an effort? But if one makes an effort and the heavens do not open its doors, what should be done? Let's keep trying rituals. If the heavens reject us once, we try 10 times. If 10 times, then 100. If 100, then 1,000 times. Let's keep performing rituals and endlessly ask if it's really impossible. Master spoke with clenched teeth. Let's ask if this is really where we end. Yes, Master. I also looked at him firmly and nodded. From that day, we traveled everywhere, reading the stars and attempting rituals. Of course, every time we attempted a ritual, clouds would gather, blocking the celestial energy from the heavens. Once we even went to a place called Mount Gugwal in Yangnuo to perform a ritual. Master thought that since the peak of Mount Gugwal pierced through the clouds, the ritual there couldn't be covered by clouds. But even on a peak higher than the clouds, ghostly clouds appeared soon after we performed the ritual. As if the heavens, defying the laws of physics, would not let me onto the path of cultivation. Master and I went to many famous mountains and rivers, selecting 7 stars among the 28, performing rituals incessantly. While performing rituals, I also intermittently learned from my master about the Kai refining 8th star. The knowledge of the Kai refining 8th star, the 6 harmonies path, involves applying the 6 harmonies of heaven, earth, and 4 directions to the ritual, stimulating the spiritual power through the method. This stage allows cultivators' formation to grow larger and their spiritual power to fill their entire spiritual meridians, becoming much stronger. Unfortunately, the training methods of the 8th star were useless, unless the 7th star was fully mastered. I continued to consistently digest the theory and enlightenment. Meanwhile, I also met Kim Young-hoon from time to time, learning about martial arts and embodying the enlightenment of the 5 energies converging to the origin. TME passed. The day my lifespan was to end was drawing near. Do you have any questions about the 5 elements? Not today. Good, let's go prepare for the ritual. My lifespan was not much left. I had hoped that reaching the 5 energies converging to the origin would extend my life. But by looking at the books in the Chingmun clan's archive, I realized that I was likely to die with the same lifespan as before. My progress has been significant lately. I have understood the Kai refining 9th star, 5 elements origin, not just the Kai refining 8th star, 6 harmonies path. Of course, I still couldn't practice the cultivation methods of the 9th star. But in terms of pure understanding of the path, I was on par with a Kai refining 9th star cultivator. Recently, I was also previewing content related to the Kai refining 10th star, 4 images unity. Still, the process of integrating the 9 palaces' spiritual meridians and spiritual roots into 2 branches is highly advantageous for me. It was mainly about integrating the meridians, so it was a realm I could certainly reach if given time. Let's begin. The sun is setting. Together with my master, I started the ritual. Of course, clouds gathered again this time, blocking the celestial energy. It's a failure again. Yes, my master nodded and sighed softly. Again, I could hardly remember how many times we had tried. Let's go to the heaven-treading desert tomorrow and try again. It seems the clouds will gather later there. Master? What is it? I opened my mouth to my master, who was trying to smile while collecting the ritual tools. I hope we don't perform the ritual tomorrow. What are you talking about? The celestial energy will be present in heaven-treading desert tomorrow. If not tomorrow, then when? I have something I need to do, Master. Could we postpone it for just tomorrow? The next optimal day for the ritual is a month later. Can you return to the Chungmun clan by then? At that, I gave a bitter smile and said, I will return. 20 days from now, that day was the exact day I had been dying in all my lifetimes, the day my lifespan was to end. Chapter 47, Forbidden 3. I infused spiritual energy into a palm-sized flying paper boat. Buzzing, as the spiritual energy was injected, the paper boat swelled in size, took on color, and transformed into a wooden boat. Let's go. I jumped onto the wooden boat, infused it with spiritual energy, formed hand seals, and at the same time, magical runes rose from the boat as it swiftly kicked through the air. 3 days later, I arrived at the border of Byokra and Yangnuo using the flying artifact. Flying artifacts at the Kai refining stage travel at the speed of a normal boat. Apparently, to reach the speed of an aircraft, one would need a flying artifact at the Kai building stage, or at least have the personal flying skills of core formation cultivators. I enjoyed the scenery and feeling the wind on the paper boat. I looked around. There it is. Flash, as soon as I spotted my target, a brilliant white saber gang surged towards me. I swung my hand, emitting my own sword gang. Our blade gangs weaved through the air like snakes, clashing several times, and after a while the saber gang that was shot at me was neutralized. Jump! I leapt down from the air and used the light fall technique to fall slowly. It's been a while. Yes, your sword control has improved since I last saw you. I've never stopped practicing sword control. Dual energy sword control isn't just about making a sword move through the air. It involves elevating the control over the sword to a realm beyond unity with the sword, mastering every aspect of the sword, from the sound and material of the sword to the aura emitted by one's martial arts, sword energy, sword gang, mastering everything with consciousness. That's what dual energy sword control is. Therefore, from the moment one achieves dual energy sword control, a martial artist at the 5 energies converging to the origin can freely manipulate not only the sword, but also the sword gang in the air. Of course, manipulating a sword that's not in my hand fundamentally means projecting my consciousness from a distance into the sword. The difference in the 5 energies converging to the origin realm is how naturally one can move a distant sword. But you still have much to learn. Keep training. Yes, I will. I nodded and withdrew the flying boat still hovering in the sky. Kim Hyung, I heard you started cultivating recently, and it seems true. I felt the pressure of his spiritual power and the size of his consciousness and asked. He smiled awkwardly and said, well, since cultivation techniques are quite convenient in daily life, like flying artifacts. Of course, I'm only at Kai refining 2nd star. I have no intention of going beyond that, just using it to assist my martial arts. It's more useful for me to hone my martial arts than to rely on such miscellaneous techniques. I see. His martial arts talent was unparalleled, but it seems his aptitude for cultivation was still better than mine. Even without a good master like me and focusing more on martial arts, he still reached Kai refining 2nd star. Recently started, so being at Kai refining 2nd star means his aptitude is a little better than mine. Kim Young-hoon chatted casually about how he almost went mad learning the 72 earthly Sha true words, then asked me worriedly, are you sure you're okay with this, agreeing to such an extreme request? It's fine. I'm happy to contribute to the Chungmun clan and I agree with your view. Thank you. Those guys. The sooner one of them disappears from this world, the better. Although the Mackley clan lost Yongyuo's imperial authority to the Jin clan, the Mackley clan's main family wasn't significantly damaged, just lost their influence over Yongyuo and the right to oppress its mortals. The Jin clan stopped interfering with the Mackley clan's affairs after obtaining the imperial authority. While Kai refining cultivators from each clan dying in skirmishes wasn't much of a concern unless they were high-ranking, it was a principle to release Kai building elders caught in battle after receiving a ransom. After the Jin clan obtained imperial authority, Kim Young-hoon had little he could do for justice. However, he didn't give up and found loopholes in the agreements between the Jin and Mackley clans and other surrounding cultivator clans. According to what I found, if cultivators from the Jin or Mackley clan at the Kai building stage clash and are captured within Yongyuo, they are released after the clans pay a ransom. However, if a cultivator invades the territory of another country, even at the Kai building stage, they can be killed by cultivators from that country's clan. He smiled bitterly. In a few days, I'll drive a cultivator from the Mackley clan to the border of the Byokra. Once I exhaust the Mackley clan cultivator's strength, you can step in and finish them off. That way I can get rid of scum, and you can kill an invader from Yongyuo's Mackley clan without any issues of righteousness. Yes, that makes sense. Kim Young-hoon excitedly explained his plan, and I listened calmly. After hearing all his plans, I made a request. Kim Hyung, I gave you the record of surpassing cultivation and martial arts previously. Yes, the unparalleled martial arts you gave me steadily led me to the ultimate pinnacle. I've also added my annotations to the record of surpassing cultivation and martial arts. Then, knowing your character, you would still have the manual with your annotations. Could you let me read it? Well, that's not impossible. Kim Young-hoon seemed to have recently acquired a new method of storage, as he pulled a thick manuscript from a fist-sized pouch at his waist. The record of surpassing cultivation and martial arts had clearly thickened since I had given it to him. The title hasn't changed. Considering the added content, I would have thought he'd want to leave his mark by changing the title. But Kim Young-hoon smiled bitterly and said, I couldn't change it. I've been following this martial arts manual, merely adding annotations here and there. I added some content, but it's mostly records of trial and error about advancing beyond the ultimate pinnacle. I haven't surpassed this martial art. How could I dare change the title of such a martial art by only adding a few lines of trial and error? Looking at the thickness, it seems more than a few lines of trial and error. The book was 3 or 4 times thicker than when I first gave it to him. It's more than just a few annotations or trial and error. Kim Young-hoon had poured all his effort into trial and error, trying to find a way to surpass the record of surpassing cultivation and martial arts. Well, even though it's thicker, the fact that I failed remains true. But with this much, it seems different from the original record of surpassing cultivation and martial arts. Why not change the title a bit for distinction? If you insist, he said with a self-deprecating smile. Then let's call it not the record of surpassing cultivation and martial arts, but the record of surpassing path and martial arts. Whether it's the original title or the new one, the meaning of transcending the path of cultivation remains unchanged. He only changed one character in the title, which hardly made any difference from the original. It's a bit disappointing, but if he doesn't want to change it, what can I do? I read and memorize the entire manuscript. Maybe it's because I became a cultivator and learned things like the 72 earthly Sha true words, or perhaps cultivating enhances memory as it expands consciousness. As my consciousness expanded, my memory improved significantly. I used to have to read and reread thick manuscripts several times in my previous lives to engrave them in my mind, but now, just reading once was enough to imprint everything in my memory. Wait here for a few days. I'll drive the cultivator from the Mackley clan to the Byokra border soon. I'll wait. I sat down and adjusted my physical condition. Kim Young-hoon handed me the record of surpassing path and martial arts to read more if I wished, then took out his flying artifact and flew off towards Yongyuo. The weather is nice. According to the astronomical and heavenly mechanism knowledge I learned from my master, the sky would remain clear until the time Kim Young-hoon mentioned. Then, let's take this time to slowly write and organize. I climbed onto a reasonably wide rock, spread out a basic formation to prevent anyone from approaching, and took out a desk, paper, inkstone, and brush from my storage device. I began writing my will, a letter to leave for my master. Even though Kim Young-hoon will exhaust the Kai building cultivator's strength, those at the Kai building stage didn't reach their positions through luck. Each one was an extraordinary being, a formidable foe not to be underestimated. Even if they're weakened, my life would be in danger. But I didn't care. I came here to die. A disciple who struggled all his life and achieved nothing, just to be rejected by the heavens and die when his lifespan ends. I couldn't imagine how painful and helpless it would be for my master. How much had I despised and felt powerless about myself in my past life for not being able to guide my disciples properly. Yet, if a disciple foolishly fights an overpowering opponent and dies in battle, while the master might feel resentment and sorrow, he won't feel self-loathing. Thus, I won't die by the fate set by the heavens. After all, I'm going to die soon. I'll foolishly fight against an overwhelming opponent and die in that way. That's what I decided. Slowly, I continued writing my will. Although it's a will, I couldn't let my master find out that I was going to die. I intended to make it seem like I was just patrolling the Byokra border and asking about my master's well-being. After writing and erasing my will several times, I finally composed one that was satisfactory. When should I send this? Using a transmission talisman, I could send small items with little mass and not require much spiritual energy to a designated person. The transmission talisman's speed was similar to a flying artifact. If I sent it now, it would reach my master in about 3 days. Sending it before the battle starts would be most appropriate. If I send it now, my master, upon receiving the letter early, might calculate the heavenly mechanism and arrange a ritual for me to perform near the border. If I send it after the battle starts, and my lifespan is about to end in a few days, then the letter will reach my master 3 days later, sparing him from witnessing his disciple's death. Yes, let's do that. I carefully folded the letter, attached the transmission talisman, and prepared it so that it could be sent to my master with just a burst of spiritual power. Days passed. The day Kim Young-hoon promised arrived. Rumble, rumble. In the distance, dark clouds filled with yin energy were approaching. However, it was much smaller in scale than a typical heavenly phenomenon and seemed artificial. They're coming. A Kai building cultivator from the Mackley clan, bringing clouds with him, was approaching. Flash, flash. Behind him, beams of light burst forth as someone chased after the Kai building elder. It was Kim Young-hoon. It starts now. The last chapter of this life, the time for one final thrilling moment. Whoosh, I infused spiritual energy into the letter with the transmission talisman. It glowed blue and transformed into the shape of a blue hawk. The blue hawk-shaped transmission talisman flew at incredible speed towards the direction of the Chengmun clan. I used the record of surpassing cultivation and martial arts and hidden consciousness technique to erase my presence and consciousness, and even used the earth-dwelling method to hide underground. Shortly after, rumble, rumble, swoosh, dark clouds covered the sky and rain began to fall. Hidden underground, I looked at the center of the dark clouds. The Kai building elder there had a familiar face. That person is. When we established the Palace of Heavenly Demons, he was one of the 50 Kai building elders who came to destroy the palace, that Kai building elder. Remembering the old days, I recalled establishing the palace, evading the bounty placed by cultivators and killing them one by one. Eventually, we defeated an early-stage Kai building cultivator and rejoiced with Kim Young-hoon. The next day, 50 Kai building cultivators surrounded and crushed the palace like exterminating pests. That Mackley clan elder lured Kim Young-hoon with flattery, recalling the despair, regret, and plight of the weak. But now, that fearsome Kai building elder from that time was not present. Curses, these damn Jin clan bastards. Distorted with anger, he desperately waved a flag-shaped artifact controlling the dark clouds. Wearing tattered blue robes and bleeding from all over, he was nothing more than prey. You bastards, can't you stop? According to the treaty between the Jinn and Makli clans, you can't kill me. I demand to be treated as a legitimate prisoner of war. Stop attacking immediately. Form the array. Yes, Elder. Several Kai refining cultivators from the Jinn clan waved their formation flags behind Kim Young-hoon, creating a barrier filled with fiery energy. The Makli clan elder was trapped in the barrier, and Kim Young-hoon flew towards him with a sneer. When you turned innocent villagers' towns into bloody pools, you felt nothing. Now that your life is in danger, you struggle. You scum. Die! Boom! Several saber gangs flashed around Kim Young-hoon and flew towards the Makli clan elder. Don't be absurd. Just because I harvested a few pests for materials, you're trying to kill a Kai building elder like me. You're making a big mistake. If you kill me, do you think you'll be safe? Roar. As the Makli clan elder waved his flag, the dark clouds moved. The clouds coalesced into a cloud dragon in the sky, lunging at Kim Young-hoon. He's stronger than Makli Wangshin. I assessed the Kai building cultivator's skill based on his cultivation methods. For a while, saber gangs and the Kai building elder's spells clashed. And then, slash, arg. A gust of yin wind from the Makli clan elder tore off Kim Young-hoon's arm and waist, while a saber gang from Kim Young-hoon broke through the elder's defensive spells and similarly tore a chunk from his waist. That wound is dangerous. Kai building cultivators, being more than human, could withstand such injuries. But Kim Young-hoon, at the early stage of Kai refining second star, only has a mortal's physical body. In fact, hadn't Kim Young-hoon fainted from such injuries when he faced Makli Wangshin in the previous cycle? But then it happened. Support the elder? Hurry! The Kai refining cultivators from the Jinn clan who had set up the barrier each took out a handful of talismans from their storage artifacts. Flash, flash. Dozens, maybe even hundreds of healing talismans flew to Kim Young-hoon's wounds, sticking to them profusely, and several Jinn clan cultivators performed healing spells from beyond the barrier, suturing his wounds. Ah, I see. The Jinn clan brought along Kai refining cultivators skilled in healing as backup. Kim Young-hoon's condition was fully restored, and he began to shoot saber gangs with a renewed face. Why, you bastards? You just trample on the treaty between the Jinn and Makli clans whenever you feel like it. You can't kill me. I demand to be treated as a proper prisoner of war. Stop this attack at once. Silence. We won't be punished according to the clan rules, and instead will be recognized for reducing the Makli clan's forces and receive rewards. Crazy fools. Already upset over the massacre in the heaven-treading desert, and now you commit the insane act of killing a Kai building elder. Do you think you will be safe? While remaining hidden, I found an opening on the Makli clan elder. Now, I concentrated my consciousness, refined my energy. The opening was small, but it was there. Therefore, I needed to widen it record of surpassing cultivation and martial arts, the essence. Lurking in the shadows, endless attack. Flash, my focused consciousness shot towards the Makli clan elder like a ray of light. Simultaneously, he clutched his head and screamed. Arg? Seeing this, Kim Young-hoon also concentrated and used the same technique of lurking in the shadows, endless attack on the elder. With two masters unleashing the decisive move of lurking in the shadows, endless attack, it must feel as if his head is being chopped. I won't miss this chance. Severing mountain swordsmanship, deep mountain. Releasing all the Kai I had gathered at once, I burst through the ground and soared into the sky. In an instant, I dove into the embrace of the Makli clan elder. This ends now. Flash, brilliant sword gang formed on my drawn sword. My sword gang slashed at him from within his embrace. Normally, a Kai building cultivator would subconsciously emit protective gang Kai. But the Makli clan elder, having exhausted his spiritual power fighting Kim Young-hoon, had weaker defenses than even a Kai refining cultivator. Boom. My sword gang pierced through his thin, protective gang Kai, severing his neck. Cut in that fleeting moment, Flash, a blue light burst forth from within his embrace. A life-saving artifact. Chapter 48. Forbidden 4. The moment the life-saving artifact activated, the Mackley clan elder rocketed upwards at an incredible speed, and my sword gang could only graze his chest instead of striking his neck. Swoosh. Even so, it was enough to slice through his ribs, half his liver, and completely sever one of his lungs. The Mackley clan elder, bleeding profusely, was still alive. Cough, cough, grlgrglg. Despite spitting blood foam and barely holding together his falling intestines with spiritual power, he remained alive. Grunt gasp. That? Uniform? Chingmun clan? You damned. Colluding with Jin clan. Despite having one lung crushed, he forcibly maintained his bodily functions through spiritual power, terrifying vitality. But if left alone, he would eventually die from depleting all his spiritual power. Grunt. Cough. Chingmun clan descendant, spare my life. I promise enormous compensation from the main family. Many cultivators from different clans are currently on edge due to the massacre in the heaven-treading desert. In 200 years, there will be a great war, and every cultivator, including Kai building, is crucial. I silently held my sword, infusing it with sword gang. Seeing this, the Mackley clan elder gritted his teeth. You fool, don't you understand what's important? I will ensure proper compensation for crossing the Byokra border, please, I beg you. Buzz. Yeyik. He dodged my sword gang and started infusing energy into the life-saving artifact. He's pouring his life force into it. Simultaneously, his figure turned blue and reached the edge of the barrier with astounding speed. That's a core formation's escape technique. The life-saving artifact seemed to allow lower-level cultivators to mimic the flying techniques used by core formation cultivators. Damn it! I won't die like this. No way. Boom! The elder released all his power in a burst, shattering the barrier like a paper wall, creating an escape route. The backlash caused the Jin clan Kai refining cultivators who had set up the array to spit out blood. You can't escape. Ha, catch me if you can. He gripped the life-saving artifact on his chest and used the escape technique again. In a blink, he moved another 30 meters away. Catch him? Yes. I swiftly kicked through the air, shooting sword gang. You fools! I won't die so easily to your schemes. Flash, he activated the life-saving artifact again, and with a blue light, his figure moved further away once more. That direction is. The faces of me, Kim Young-hoon, and other Jin clan Kai refining cultivators twisted. He is flying towards the Mackley clan's outpost on the Yangyo border. Block him. We can't let him reach the outpost and receive support from Mackley clan's Kai building cultivators. I'm aware. Kim Young-hoon and I furiously pursued the Mackley clan elder, and a chase across the border region began. Whoosh! I swung my sword, shooting sword gang, and quickly formed hand seals to recite the Earth Imprisonment incantation, corresponding to the Earth Imprisonment star. Earth Imprisonment. Rumble, pillars of earth shot up, attempting to trap the Mackley clan elder. However, as he formed hand seals, a gust of yin wind tore through the earth bars, scattering them back towards me. Flash, I assessed the space, dodging the falling debris, and leapt into the air. At the same time, I unleashed a powerful sword slash with transcending peaks. A semi-circular white sword gang shot towards the elder. Ha! As he formed hand seals, yin energy coalesced into dark clouds, enveloping him and deflecting my sword gang. Simultaneously, the dark clouds transformed into a cloud dragon and shot towards me. But I charged straight towards him, unstoppable. Flash! A tremendous wave of intent resonated behind me, and the sound of Gang Kai compression sphere echoed. Boom! A fist-sized orb of light passed by me, entering the cloud dragon's mouth, exploding it, and rushing towards the Mackley clan elder. I cannot die. Flash. He again infused life force into the life-saving artifact, disappearing with a blue light, and simultaneously, an explosion of saber gang erupted at his former location. A storm of light. Numerous light streams filled the space in front of me as if painting with saber scars. As the explosion subsided, I burst through the light storm, extending a massive sword strike towards the fleeing Mackley clan elder. Severing mountain swordsmanship, Kai Mountain, Heart Heaven. The sword gang enhanced and expanded, widening its range as it extended towards the elder of the Mackley clan. Whoosh, my elongated sword gang struck down the elder, sending him crashing to the ground below. Frowning, I formed hand seals to create an earthen prison. The sword gang's impact felt dull. It didn't cut through. Even amidst this, he had managed to raise his protective gang Kai, turning a deadly strike into a mere hit. Earth imprisonment? Rumble, pillars of earth rose, encasing the elder of the Mackley clan. However, with a powerful shout from within the earthen prison, my spell shattered and exploded. Indeed, Kai-building cultivators are in a league of their own. Neither sword gang nor spells could deliver a decisive blow. But it didn't matter. I had successfully hindered him. Kim Young-hoon arrived anew, unleashing a barrage of gang spheres. 9 spheres cascaded towards the elder. Flash, 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 a storm of light relentlessly pressed in. Amidst the tempest, a blue streak of light flickered. I cannot die, not like this. The elder of the Mackley clan desperately activated his life-saving artifact, narrowly escaping Kim Young-hoon's onslaught. His abdomen is torn open, and one arm had vanished, yet he forcibly regenerated an arm using spiritual power and continued his escape. Not even a cockroach? I was astounded by his tenacity. What kind of human is this? Kai-building cultivators don't die easily unless their head, heart, or dantian is completely destroyed. That saying is indeed true. Kai-building cultivators can substitute the functions of lost organs with the spiritual power they've cultivated. Though the concept seemed absurd, it was proven true. Of course, he would die once his spiritual power was depleted. But for now, he remained alive. Kim Young-hoon and I relentlessly pursued him. While I hindered him, Kim Young-hoon followed up with lethal attacks. The elder continually resorted to his life-saving artifact, narrowly escaping each time. This cycle repeated, and despite being nearly dead, the elder kept consuming pills from his storage bag, barely managing to survive. It's hard to end this in one strike. The biggest problem was his efficiency countering the record of transcending cultivation and exhausting martial arts technique, of erasing perception. He has more and stronger magical artifacts than Mackley Wangshin, and it seems the technique had become well known due to previous confrontations with the Mackley clan, and he has so many pills. He kept popping them like snacks. Dragging this out is troublesome. The day was fading. I clenched my teeth and launched my flying sword after the Mackley clan elder. In any normal situation, this would be pointless. For Kai-building cultivators, unless their protective aura's weak point is precisely targeted, sword gang and sword strikes are ineffective. But the elder, now pale as a ghost, dodged my flying sword. To the nearly dead elder, even my flying sword posed a tremendous threat. Swoosh! My flying sword again narrowly missed the elder. In a chaotic battle, it's hard to precisely control a flying sword. A stable footing was necessary. I landed and touched the ground. Swift as the sky, I chanted the sky speed star incantation and cast a spell, Rumble. The earth coalesced, forming a circular platform under my feet. As I changed my hand seals, the platform slid across the earth. Rumble, the ground beneath became my vehicle. Trees and rocks swiftly passed behind me. High above, the now slower elder of the Mackley clan was visible. I on the ground and Kim Young-hoon in the sky surrounded him, unleashing gang spheres and sword gangs. Standing on the platform, I took a stance and gripped my sword. I'll end this. The end of life is always poignant. How painful were the moments of death. But the death in this life seems particularly meaningful. The sun had set. Before dawn the next day, my life would come to an end. Here I go, severing mountain swordsmanship, 11th move, cliff edge crash. I didn't unsheath my sword. Still in its scabbard, I sliced through and launched my sword gang towards the sky. With incredible speed, my sword gang shot upwards, and from above, 9 orbs of light descended. Caught in between, the elder of the Mackley clan panicked, then resignedly smiled and formed a hand seal. Huh, you've won. The sky was filled with light. Amidst the storm of light, I saw the elder of the Mackley clan being diced, his protective aura scattering away. Cough. The cultivator, once soaring in the sky, now fell to the ground. Thud, barely alive, his remaining spiritual power was equivalent to a Kai refining first or second star cultivator. Even that was fading, his life force flickered and his heartbeat weakened. You may take his last breath. Understood. I approached the dying elder with a weary body. This cultivator, who had once brought storms and darkened skies, now writhed pitifully, a mere insect. I recalled my past life, the dark clouds he summoned, the sinister gaze he cast down upon us. Now, this once mighty Kai-building cultivator lay in such a state. To think, at the brink of death, you Kai-building cultivators are no different from the mere mortals you so much disdain. I calmly lifted my sword. At that moment, I am no different from mortals. The elder of the Mackley clan, with bloodshot eyes, stared at me. Don't make me laugh. I am Mackley Yunryon, an elder of the great Mackley clan, a distinguished cultivator. Flash. Don't dare compare me to mere mortals. His body swelled, emitting a putrid stench and blue light. I immediately realized his intention, self-destruction. Swoosh, I hastily retreated as a blinding explosion enveloped the area. What's this? The explosion was massive in light but limited in destructive range and power, more like a flashbang than an explosion. Suddenly, I understood his plan. Kim Hyung, we must escape. In this vicinity. Kugagugu, the stench of rotting corpses wafted through the air as a stream of green water heavily mixed with corpse poison surged towards us like a river. Kurururuk, krrrruk, quiek, kiek. I hastily leaped into the air to avoid the green stream, but from within it, zombies poured out and leaped up, swinging their nails at me. Damn, this is. Cha-ah, the green stream whirled up into a vortex. From the center of the whirlpool, a middle-aged cultivator in blue emerged, holding a whisk. The sheer size of this aura, this pressure of spiritual power. Another Kai-building cultivator. And this overwhelming spiritual aura, not just any ordinary Kai-building cultivator, late-stage Kai-building. A powerful figure on par with Mackley Wangshan. A distress flare suddenly burst into the sky, and it turns out to be a rescue signal sent by Yunryon. The cultivator in blue at the center of the whirlpool flicked his finger, and the green waters brought him the clothes and the evening dew left behind by Mackley Yunryon. He was an excellent alchemist. The high-quality elixirs he created numbered in the tens of thousands. He grinded his teeth as he glared at us. The cultivator from the Chengmun clan and the decisive weapon of the Jin clan. It seems you've cleverly exploited the treaty between Jin and Mackley to kill Yunryon. Realizing the situation, he alternated his gaze between me and Kim Young-hoon, beginning to gather spiritual power. Do not think you can die easily. However, Kim Young-hoon sneered and unleashed another powerful technique. I wonder where you get such confidence. Even Mackley Yunryon, who reached the 4th stage of Kai building, couldn't stop me. Do you really think I would fear someone only at the 3rd stage? Ha ha ha, I know you're exhausted from dealing with Yunryon. Even if the low-level cultivators of the Jin clan assist, their spiritual power is nearly depleted. You are not enough. If I were alone, that might be the case, but the brother from the Chengmun clan with me has power just below the Kai building stage, beyond the 14th star of Kai refining. Together, joining forces, he laughed dismissively. Ah, you seem to be under a misunderstanding. When did I ever say I came alone? Koo-woo, the dark night sky, dark storm clouds were gathering again. Similar to the phenomena caused by Mackley Yunryon, the clouds seemed to mimic his techniques. Though the clouds were about a quarter the size of those summoned by Mackley Yunryon, cold sweat ran down my back. It seems as if the sky is covered with yin energy. One of the later generation disciples from our clan happened to be nearby gathering materials, so we came together. Uncle Mackley Goon, you left too soon. The newcomer was a young man dressed in blue. With an ethereal look, he managed his spiritual power effortlessly, revealing his formidable presence, mid-Kai building, and almost transitioning to the late stage, a direct descendant of the Mackley clan. A figure worthy of being called a later generation disciple has appeared. Is it not that you're too slow, little Jun? Well, anyway, thanks for coming. You take care of those Jin clan remnants and the Chungmun clan guy. I'll deal with the external elder of the Jin clan. Yes, but who sent the flare signal? Yunryeon has passed away. Upon hearing this, the young man's face twisted in shock. Yunryeon, how could such a great alchemist? It seems like Jin and Chungmun clans conspired together. Using the pretext of crossing the border into Byokra, they assassinated Yunryeon. These despicable scum. The young man from Mackley clan grimaced with malice. You don't know who you've killed. The most respected alchemist under the core formation elders of Mackley clan. Many disciples have lost the chance to learn from him, and you cannot imagine how many precious elixirs that could have been refined are now lost. I stared emotionlessly at the ranting young man, preparing my technique. Lucky me, killing you here will save hundreds, maybe thousands of lives. Today was likely my last day. I had chosen this place as my grave. I wasn't afraid to die, but what weighed on my mind was, Kim Hyung, run as far as you can. Kim Young-hoon dying here without being able to reach his goal. While I was okay with my imminent death, I wished for him to live a little longer. I'll try to buy as much time as I can. Using endless mountains beyond mountains, I charged at the younger, seemingly weaker mid-Kai building cultivator. Ha, this is laughable. Koo-woo-woo-woo, yin wind gusted. Beyond the yin wind, a ring of yin energy flew towards me. Using severing mountain swordsmanship, I cut through Kai building spell and occasionally used my own techniques to counter. Cut through everything? I slashed, parried, and dodged numerous spells, finding a sliver of an opening. Cut. My sword, in a swift motion, aimed at the mid-stage Kai building young man. Severing mountain swordsmanship. 20-second move, severing mountain, all 21 forms unleashed at once, exploding through my sword. Breakthrough, severing mountain. The final form, named for its power to even cut through mountains, surged towards the mid-Kai building man, and then, Kong, my sword broke, not just the sword, but the sword gang covering it shattered into pieces. Was it a defensive spell? No. Counterattack? No. Did he use a magic artifact? No. The mid-Kai building young man was doing nothing. Just emitting protective gang Kai using pure spiritual force. He looked at me as if I was a joke. His mere presence was enough to repel the onslaught of sword gang from 5 energies converging to the origin martial artist. So this is a Kai building cultivator. A novice who had just entered Kai building could be dealt with using the record of transcending cultivation and exhausting martial arts and other martial arts, risking life in a fight. However, a cultivator who has truly experienced Kai building and reached the mid-stage is an impossible opponent for 5 energies converging to the origin martial artist. Unlike Mackley Yunryeon, who was nearly beaten to death by Kim Young-hoon, this young man is full of spiritual and physical strength. Ah, I see. I realized I have no chance against him. Even facing Mackley Wangshin in my past life was possible only because his strength had fallen from the 3rd stage of Kai building to the 4th star of Kai refining. Anything beyond that is out of reach. Is this all you have? You insect? Kwang. Immense yin energy gathered in the young man's hand, forming a dragon claw. The dragon claw struck me, sending me crashing down into the forest below. Kyuk! If I hadn't instinctively released my strength and deployed a defensive spell, I would have died in one blow. There was a clear difference in our levels. Cough. Cough. Struggling to rise, I spat blood, unable to move my legs. I saw pieces of my intestines mixed in the coughed-up blood. It seems my intestines are ruptured. Cough, cough, kaha, kahaha. I coughed up blood, looking up at the night sky covered in dark clouds. The green-robed cultivator was already pressing Kim Young-hoon in combat. I can't be more ashamed. Running away. Buying time. I had been overwhelmed so easily, now lying helplessly, shameful, utterly shameful. An unaccomplished life. I never achieved anything, merely confirming that even the heavens have rejected me. I barely reached the mid-stage of 5 energies converging to the origin. After the 7th star of Kai refining, I only studied in theory. never reaching higher as the heavens forbid it. Even my death, which I thought would be somewhat honorable, turned out to be a miserable end, treated like vermin. Pathetic. Chungmun clan's martial artist of 5 energies converging to the origin is you, daring to face a cultivator with just some lump of iron in your hand. Even the little cultivation you have is only up to the 7th star of Kai refining. Pathetic and useless. The young man from Mackley clan clicked his tongue, forming a seal. Since you dared to kill a member of my clan, under the pretext of border invasion, I too will kill you under the same pretext. My body was lifted by his spell, crossing the border between Byokra and Yangnuo. Regret killing a great alchemist of my clan as you die like an insect. He formed another seal. I felt a bitter smile on my lips, an insect-like fate, true enough. No matter how hard I tried, I couldn't escape this fate. What could I do when even the heavens deny me? No matter how hard I tried, it was impossible to reach beyond. I closed my eyes, waiting for death that was approaching, an unfulfilled life. The end of a tenacious life came just like that. I thought it was my 7th return. Quang, an explosion sounded, and the binding spiritual power of the Mackley clan cultivator dispersed. I opened my eyes and looked at the person who freed me, a very familiar back. Master? My master, Chungmun Ryong, stood in front of me. How did you come here? I asked in confusion, but Master didn't turn to me and replied shortly. Didn't you send a letter? Yes, but that should take at least 3 days to arrive. HMPH, 3 days. You've always been slow, but is even your letter to your master slow? Before you left, I put a much better transmission talisman in your storage device. Master sighed and waved his hand. In his hand was my crumpled letter. Did you think I wouldn't know? You fool. I could tell your emotions just from your handwriting. I thought I had written with maximum emotional restraint, but it seems impossible to fool the eyes of my master, my disciple. Why are you so frustrating to the end? I have conducted rituals and read the celestial omens with you countless times. I have read the celestial omens concerning you by myself hundreds of times. Did you think I wouldn't know that your end is near? It seemed that you knew your life was coming to an end, so you sent the letter. But what is this? Did you come here wanting to die honorably? Did you really intend to fight and die without telling me anything? Master scolded me with a tone of anger. I couldn't help shed tears. Master's intent was a deep, dark blue, the intent of sorrow. Like the dark clouds covering the sky, his intent was also deeply colored with sorrow. I'm sorry. And then I had to hear the words I least wanted to hear from my master. I failed you. I couldn't do anything for you. No, it's not your fault. I don't know how much time is left in your life, but still, shouldn't you say goodbye in front of your master? Master still didn't turn to me as he spoke. Somehow I knew why. Master's voice was trembling. Yes, I will do that. Then it happened. Mackley Jun chuckled and shouted at my master. Ha, your disciple crossed the border of Yangnuo recklessly, so I have to deal with him. Step aside. You seem to be under a strange misunderstanding. It's not the Kai refining cultivators who are forbidden to cross borders without permission, but the main forces of each clan, the Kai building cultivators. Therefore, my disciple has no reason to be judged by you. Huh, that's interesting. Then, as a Kai-building cultivator from Byokra, you are also currently standing in Yangnuo's land, so you fall under judgment too. Yangnuo's land. Kagagugu green spiritual energy began to swirl around Master. Young one, you are mistaken. The territories among cultivator clans are not clearly defined by mortal laws. It's not about the borders of Yangnuo or Byokra as defined by mortals. The territories are based on the dragon veins flowing through each land. The territories are marked based on the land where spiritual energy suitable for each cultivator clan flows. It's the countries of mortals that have been established under those territories, not the other way around. Kagagugu, Master's formation diagram spread around him. Simultaneously, the nature of the energy around us changed. Kagagugu, the energy of the dragon vein is changing. The original spiritual energy of this land was pushed out and started to recede. In other words, dragon veins are the proof of the territory of cultivator clans. So long as I maintain the dragon veins, this land is our territory. Now it's the opposite. You have invaded the land of Chengmun, Byok, and Gongmyo, the three clans of Byokra. Get lost. If you dare to disturb the last moments between me and my disciple, I will not forgive you. Ik Iek. Makli Jun formed a seal, trying to drive away the dragon veins summoned by Master's formation diagram. However, whether it was due to the difference in skill and experience in handling spells and formations, his attempts to counter the formation were all thwarted. I will not allow anyone to harm my disciple. Chapter 49, Giant Tree. What nonsense! Regardless, you have invaded the land of Yongyuo belonging to Jin and Makli clans. I will personally judge you. Judge? How dare a mere child try to judge? Did I not tell you? As long as the dragon vein encompasses this area, it is the land of the three clans. In terms of dragon veins, formations, and basic spells, there's no one in Byokra, Yongyuo, and Shengjai who can match me, Chengmun Ryong. What do you know to speak so foolishly? Ha, nonsense. Well, Chengmun Ryong, I have heard of that name. Makli Jun sneered as he continued. Among the Kai building cultivators, there are three great figures. Makli Yun Ryong in alchemy, Gongmyo Chinsik in artifact refining, and you, Chengmun Ryong, in formations and basic spells. I once researched who these revered individuals were. I wondered how dare anyone compare themselves to our Yun Ryong of the Makli clan. Gongmyo Chinsik may be a vulgar man, but his skills are undoubtedly strong. As for you, you have trained for hundreds of years, and yet are still at the early stage of Kai building. Even that at the tail, and not the winnowing basket. How dull, stupid, and lazy must one be to not even fully reach the early stage of Kai building? He laughed mockingly, revealing his murderous intent. Such a master, such a disciple. I heard that in the main house of Chengmun clan, there's a useless creature that just consumes food and does nothing, studying basic spells, understanding before breakthrough, sitting idly. That fool over there who sought teachings from such trash must be as stupid, dull, lazy, and as worthless as that trash. This place is now the land of the three clans. Then if I kill you, the dragon vein will recede, and it will become our land again. Kugagagugu. Dark clouds writhed above his head. Yin energy surged from him, coloring the surroundings. I looked at those dark clouds, clouds blocking the sky, the will of the heavens rejecting me. Master, speak, disciple, has lived a life achieving nothing. It's shameful. Master clenched his fist. But he paused for a moment, as if to listen to what I had to say. But, Master, I know your strength. After clashing with that Kai building cultivator this time, I'm even more certain of it. Staggering, I stood up and approached my master. Although you are at the early stage of Kai building, I have realized that you can definitely defeat that man. Doesn't that mean everything you have done has meaning? That the years of your efforts have value? Master, I feel that my life is nearly spent, and I humbly ask you. I knelt behind him and made my request. The teachings you have given me, all the hardships you have endured in your life, they have meaning. I wish to see it with my own eyes. Please make that rude man regret his words. You should not be subjected to such disrespect. All right. Master finally turned around to face me. He hugged me once and then held my hand, rough and calloused, the skin of a life spent in hard training. Of course, I was planning to do so. My disciple. Kuu-woo, a cloud dragon descended upon us from the sky. Save your melodrama for after you're dead. Flash, boom. As Master raised his hand, the cloud dragon exploded. Master turned his back again and glared at Makli Jun, speaking. First, there are a few things in your nonsense that need correcting. Kugagagugu, green spiritual energy once again burst forth from around Master. Wood, element spiritual energy. First, as you said, I am indeed a dull, stupid, lazy trash. However, my disciple is not dull. The dull ones are those stupid fools who rely on their innate qualities and are lazy in their efforts. The spiritual energy of wood moved, drawing a formation diagram around Master. Second, my disciple is not stupid. He may lack talent, but how could a stupid person learn martial arts and break through the cultivation barrier? The ground filled with green burst with light. Third, my disciple is not lazy. He practiced incantations until his throat was sore, practiced hand seals until his hands bled, and continuously practiced his unique swordplay amidst all this. He is definitely not lazy. The green spiritual energy converged from various places, and sprouts of energy began to emerge from the ground. Within a radius of 10 jang, approximately 30 meters, Master's domain spread, with countless sprouts of spiritual energy bursting forth. The darkness in the sky seemed to be pushed back by the light emerging from the earth. Fourth, my disciple is not trash. He has worked harder and respected me more than the naturally talented but undisciplined scions of the main family. If such a person is trash, then who in this world is not? Ha, as if to prove you're not an insect, you're ardently defending your insect-like disciple. Fifth, green trees of spiritual energy grew around Master. A forest formed entirely of spiritual power emerged. You may dismiss me as an insect. But the Chungmun clan does not solely base its hierarchy on inherited bloodlines. Chungmun clan venerates the Tao of combat. Our ranks are determined by the immortal combat meeting held every few years. Those with low ranks are pushed to the outer domains, while those with high ranks are granted the right to stay in the main house. And I have been researching and developing techniques in the main house for nearly 150 years. So what? You're still just at the first stage Kai building. I am at the second stage. With the assistance of the third stage Kai building cultivator who is about to suppress that external elder from Jin clan, you have no chance of winning. Sixth, flash, the forest of spiritual energy suddenly grew massive. Kugagagugu. My lifetime of dedication to understanding before breakthrough, the teachings I have given my disciple, were never wrong. Countless trees combined to form a giant tree reaching towards the sky. Disciple, I am an incapable master. Thus, I could neither do anything for you nor could I give you anything. But, the teachings I taught you, everything you've learned. Kyuwu, cloud dragons converged and roared towards the giant tree. That they were never wrong, that they were not meaningless. That's all I can show you. Disciple, you and I, we were never wrong. Then the giant tree began to move. Starting now, I'll prove it. Quagwagwagwa, the branches of the giant tree extended. Suddenly, thorny branches shot towards the sky, trapping the cloud dragons. Is this the principle of the earthly imprisonment incantation? No, that's. I was shocked as I closely observed the giant tree. It wasn't just a mass of spiritual energy. Hundreds, thousands, millions, even billions of incantations and spells composed the giant tree. Innumerable incantations and magical runes formed the giant tree. And simultaneously, spells began to shoot from the giant tree. Quagwagwang. A cascade of light surged. Thousands of spells fired from the giant tree began to puncture holes in the sky. The dark clouds tore apart, revealing the starry night sky. What is this? Understanding before breakthrough, breakthrough followed by understanding. Many talk about them as if they are equivalent. Breakthrough followed by understanding sounds grand, but isn't it just a fancy way to describe relying on innate talent to easily ascend in realms? Mackley Jun hastily employed spells and magical abilities. Yin energy gathered, and rain began to fall, but the giant tree radiated light. My master, atop the giant tree, formed seals at an unseen speed and shouted, to reach ascendance through endless practice of incantations, spells, and hand seals. That is understanding before breakthrough. Those who use spells relying solely on instinct, without any understanding. Compared to us who master all spells and ascend based on them, how can we be on the same level? The giant tree's spells clashed with the cloud dragon's magical abilities numerous times. Each time the air vibrated, and waves of spiritual energy swept through heaven and earth. When I ascend to a realm through understanding before breakthrough, I am confident to overpower anyone in the same realm. Each time the giant tree collided with the cloud dragon, the appearance of the giant tree began to change. The tree gradually transformed into a human figure. The wooden figure swung its arms. The cloud dragon's yin energy descended from the sky, Ziyang. Whirlwinds howled, and the clouds formed circular ripples. Mackley Jun's cloud dragon was torn apart, and the wooden figure became more distinct. The wooden figure, resembling Master's appearance, took the form of a towering giant, rooted deep in the earth, reaching towards the sky. That was Master. Master was the giant tree, thump, thump. Ah, it's beautiful. At the same time, I felt my heart strangely pounding, the day I was to die. The time of my death was approaching. Can't I live? I hadn't fully grasped what Master was showing me. How could it be time to die already? It felt so unfair. Heaven above, you gave me nothing, and yet, why do you so cruelly take my life away? Thump, thump. I suddenly realized my heart was exhibiting abnormal symptoms. Heart attack. Though my body was injured in battle, it still had plenty of vitality. My internal organs were slightly damaged, but not fatally. I wondered how the heavens would take my life. It seems like it would be a sudden death. Is this how it ends? I tried to focus on Master's battle as my vision blurred. Master, this unworthy disciple. I felt indignant. Master was fighting so hard for me, and what about me? A mere decree of fate. Was I to leave without fully receiving Master's final gift because of that? Can humans truly not defy their fate? No, it can't be. What about cultivation? What about the elixirs made by the Mackley clan? Can I defy my fate with such elixirs? I refused to accept it. Even if it meant dying, I wanted to imprint this scene in my memory. My Master's final battle. I channeled spiritual power into my hand, the power that Kai-building cultivators call pure spiritual force. I pressed my hand, filled with force, against my heart, forcibly pushing the force into it. Ugh! It was excruciating. My heart felt like it was about to burst. Yet, stimulated by the energy, my heart started beating again. Thump, thump, thump. Heavens above, what will you do now? My heart beats again. I wouldn't die just yet, kugagagugu. Suddenly, a tree behind me broke and fell towards me. Ugh. Ignoring the pain in my heart, I rolled away, narrowly avoiding the tree. Crash! As I touched the ground, a venomous snake emerged from a hole and bit my fingertips. A powerful poison, judging by the snake's pattern. Is it fated that a dying man must die? Nonsense, I won't die like this. Sheik, I manipulated my internal energy to expel the venom infiltrating my bloodstream, expelling it through my fingertips. Thump, thump, thump. And when heavens above couldn't kill me in several ways, it stopped my heart again, but I kept stimulating it with energy. My heart will not obey. Without the painful stimulation of energy, my heart would stop instantly, but now is the time. Thump, my heart beats on this day, at this time, at this moment. I was supposed to be dead, but I am alive, forcibly stimulating my heart with energy. Though I would die when my spiritual power is exhausted, I am still alive for now. Heavens above, I am alive. Though I may die soon, I will embrace this moment. Despite the excruciating pain, I continued to watch Master's battle. The giant tree increasingly resembled Master, finally. Flash, the tree completely transformed into Master's image. My formation is complete. My giant tree-akin Master began to form seals. The master-like tree, disproportionate in size, also formed seals at an astonishing speed, just like Master's usual speed. Around the wooden giant, even larger spells began to appear. What is this? It's not over. Kugagagugu again, thousands of spells, this time in an enlarged state, headed towards Mackley Jun. The cloud dragon he released was barely a match for the basic spells used by the wooden giant. There was more. Bright light flashed, and a formation diagram spread around the master resembling wooden giant. The nearby mountain range fell within its influence. Isn't this the formation range of a core formation cultivator? Activate. As Master formed a seal, so did the wooden giant. Simultaneously, sprouts around it grew into trees. Then, the trees combined, soaring into the sky. The giant tree pierced the clouds. Disperse! With the massive force from the giant tree, it seemed to tear apart Mackley Jun's dark clouds in a circular motion. The beautiful starry night sky, hidden behind the clouds, was revealed. Conclude. Simultaneously, buds sprouted, flowers bloomed, and fruits formed on the ends of the branches of the giant tree. The fruits shone like stars. The little sprouts that had grown from the earth now shone like stars in the sky. Go, the fruits fell. I knew. Each of these fruits was a concentration of uncountable spells. Ah, ah. Mackley Jun, with a stunned expression, watched the shower of fruits falling toward him, uttering incoherent sounds. Quagwagwang. A storm of light swept over. A massive spherical explosion occurred, and that was the end. Inside the explosion, there was no trace of Mackley Jun, not even his clothes or belongings. Go! However, that wasn't the end. The remaining fruits, floating gently, flew towards the late Kai building cultivator of the Mackley clan who was fighting in the distance. What? Quang. As Mackley Goon made a gesture, a massive wave of green water rose, seemingly blocking the fruits. But seizing the opportunity, Kim Young-hoon, who had flown towards him, unleashed a barrage of gang spheres. Ah, no. In an instant. Kim Young-hoon's strand of gang Kai pierced Mackley Goon's heart, causing him to fall to the ground. A few remaining fruits also fell towards where he lay. Quang. Another massive explosion enveloped the area. Thump, thump. As Master's spell-formed body, towering high into the sky, began to crumble, thump, thump. Simultaneously, I realized my spiritual power was nearly depleted. Just a little more, just a bit more. I had to bid farewell to Master. Converting all my internal and spiritual energy into force, I forced my heart to keep beating. My meridians tangled, and my body was in shambles, but even as I coughed up blood, I greeted Master. Returning to the ground, Master looked pale. I may have overexerted myself a bit. But I have shown you everything. I saw his complexion and asked, "You've depleted your vital energy." HMPH, I could have defeated that guy in a war of attrition, drying up his blood. Using the wooden man technique to its completion, and then attempting a second transformation would have been enough to win comfortably. I only ended it quickly because it seems like you couldn't hold on much longer. Ha ha! Thank you, Master. Thump, thump. My disciple, you are my pride. The scions of the clan came to me for teachings, but not one of them could withstand my harsh words and critiques. But you. You stubbornly stayed until the end and received all the teachings of my understanding before breakthrough. Master walked over to me, held my shoulder, and placed a hand on my forehead. This is all I can do for you. All I can give you is the knowledge you couldn't learn. Woo-ah. Knowledge started flowing into my mind, a technique to directly infuse knowledge into consciousness. I received the spells Master just used and the Kai building techniques he had mastered. It may seem useless to a disciple about to die, but this is my heart. If it's not a burden, take it. Master's grace. I smiled, stood up, and faced the dawn. In the background, daybreak was coloring the sky. Despite forcing my heart to beat, I survived a whole day longer than my fated lifespan. However, this seemed to be the end. My internal and spiritual energy were all depleted. This was it. The morning sun shone over the mountains. Thump. Now truly the end. But as a disciple, I cannot end it like this. If I only receive from Master without even expressing gratitude, how can I be a true disciple? Boom! My internal energy was completely exhausted, but I punched my chest fiercely. My chest bore the imprint of my fist. With my punches, my heart was forced to beat again. Boom, boom, boom. If I'm going to die, let it be more painful. Master, realizing what I was doing, trembled his lips, made a decision, and sat down in a meditative posture. I prostrated before Master, who was sitting cross-legged. Once, twice, thrice. My heart stopped again, but I kept beating my chest to force it to beat 4, 5, 6 times. Drip, drip. Why was it still dark blue around me even though the dark clouds had cleared? Why was it still raining? Ah, it's not dark clouds. It was Master's sorrow and tears. 7, 8, 9 times, I performed the 9 prostrations. The 9 prostrations are not simply bowing 9 times to one's master. They represent 9 different ways of prostrating, a tradition that originated in martial arts and became distorted. But even if the tradition was distorted, it was insufficient to express my feelings. What's important in a ritual is not its origin, but whether it suffices to express one's heart. For the last time once more. After offering 10 prostrations, I addressed Master with a hoarse voice. I have received immeasurable grace from Master. Thank you and farewell. Go on then. Farewell. Tears fell. I thought they were from Master's face, but they were falling from my eyes as well. Rest, my beloved disciple. With those final words, I closed my eyes. As dawn painted the sky, a master, having received his disciple's prostrations, shed tears over the now cold body of his disciple. You were the giant tree in my heart. Initially, a bothersome little sprout, but as 10-20 years passed, the sprout grew into a tree. Growing and growing, becoming an irreplaceable giant tree, a pillar supporting the heart of Chengmun Ryong. But now that giant tree was no more. Rest in peace. A disciple who has strived all his life. Chengmun Ryong wished for his disciple's posthumous peace, laying the body that had died while prostrating properly. Chengmun Ryong took a seed from his pouch and placed it on the disciple's chest. As he infused wood element spiritual energy into it, the seed began to react. Pa kugagagugu. The seed sprouted rapidly, covering the disciple's body, growing into a giant tree. Soon, the tree grew so large that it surpassed any in the nearby forest, and only then did Chengmun Ryong withdraw his hand. The tree was a quince tree. Chengmun Ryong, caressing the tree that resembled his disciple, spoke. I will not forget you. Whoosh! As if the soul of Seo Yunhaian was ascending, a strong wind blew from the base of the quince tree up into the heavens. Chengmun Ryong looked up through the branches of the quince tree into the sky. This was Seo Yunhaian's 7th return. Chapter 50. 7th cycle's first day, I slowly opened my eyes. My chest still ached. Was it because of the heartache I experienced just before dying in my past life, or was it phantom pain from the fierce beating of the heart? Or perhaps it was the sorrow of never being able to see my master again, with whom I had formed a bond. I, your disciple, will etch Master in my heart. Though separated forever by a separate timeline, our time together will not be forgotten. After making this short vow, I formed a hand seal. There was not a speck of spiritual power in my body, but the hand seals, perfected through understanding before breakthrough, could be activated with just the faintest energy flowing inside me. With a burst of energy, as the hand seal was activated, the other companions around me, just about to wake up, fell back into sleep without me needing to do anything. After using the hand seal, I felt a throbbing in my head. This sensation, something is wrong with my upper dantian. It felt like something massive was crammed inside the upper dantian. After a moment of contemplation, I realized what it was. My consciousness has reached the level of Kai refining 7th star. Considering that the consciousness of a 5 energies converging to the origin martial artist is around the level of Kai refining 3rd or 4th star, the size of my consciousness, having cultivated further to reach Kai refining 7th star, was about the size of Kai refining 10th star. It was strange that my upper dantian remained intact, given that a consciousness of that size was compressed within it. It seems my body, not yet having undergone rejuvenation in the 5 energies converging to the origin, is struggling to cope with the upper dantian. To address this pain, I dug up some yellow bamboo roots nearby to eat and immediately entered rejuvenation. Once again, the 5 elements of heaven and earth energy flowed into my body, and I regained the 5 elements' spiritual roots, grasping the qualities of a cultivator. Only after undergoing the transformation and acquiring a body capable of withstanding the consciousness did the headache cease. Simultaneously, the compressed consciousness in the upper dantian unfolded properly after reaching 5 energies converging to the origin, revealing its form. It was the same size as my consciousness in the previous life. I felt a faint sense of nostalgia looking at it. Something else has been transmitted through time. At the same time, I grasped one of the laws of regression. What regresses are only my soul and consciousness. If the consciousness grows before regression, its size is maintained. I first took my companions to a cave and kept them asleep with a sleep spell. Then I pondered about this life. Heavens do not permit me. What should I do? The main reason for becoming a cultivator was to investigate the Ascension Gate. In my past life in the Chugnemun clan, I had used the clan's library to learn about the Ascension Gate. The information wasn't much different from what I already knew. Nevertheless, the Ascension Gate is a spatial rift that opens once every 1,000 years. Once open, it gradually shrinks over 6 months before fully closing. To withstand the spatial pressure inside the Ascension Gate, one must at least have the defensive power of a cultivator at the heavenly being realm. Once the Ascension Gate closes, one must wait another 1,000 years to see it again. 1,000 years. To wait that long, one needs at least the lifespan and power of a cultivator at the nascent soul realm. That's why I decided to become a cultivator. Even if I master martial arts, it only maintains the peak conditions of the body, not extending life. A fact I had verified in my past life. However, I can't further my cultivation. Then what should I do? How should I do it? Is there a way to find out? Even though my master had imparted the knowledge of Kai building and the latter stages of Kai refining to me, I could never surpass Kai refining 7th star. What am I supposed to do? I must try at least once. I clenched my teeth. Yes, there's nothing I can do, but the seniors of Heavenly Being will visit in a few days. The Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder Sect, Black Ghost Valley, Heaven Creation Sect. Furthermore, the Sea Dragon King and Hunchback Old Man. I should plead with them. Even if it means groveling, I should ask them for a way. Clenching my teeth, I began to cultivate the law-transforming Danshin. Equalize the 5 spiritual qualities and settle them in the Danshin. Then harmonize with the yin-yang energy to polish with the primordial chaos energy. Perhaps because I had already achieved this state in my past life, I stayed awake for 2 nights and completed the Kai gathering phase, creating the law transformation Danshin. Now, I was ready to enter the 1st star of Kai refining at any time. The day came. Once again, the Grand Master of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder Sect, the Elder of the Black Ghost Valley, and the sect leader of the Heaven Creation Sect, 3 heavenly being cultivators descended upon us. There are 4 with spiritual roots. The Grand Master of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder Sect, Jin Byuk-ho, drew us in. Heaven and earth energy naturally resonated, pulling me, Oh Hyun-seok, Jian Myung-hoon, and Kang Min-hee forward. Once again, reactions similar to my previous life burst forth. The Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder Body. A legendary constitution, ghosts, ghostly yin transformation, immortal root. Unique holy body, I can't stop laughing. Then their gazes finally turned to me, HM. At the stage of completing Kai gathering, it looks like you are originally a cultivator. Oh, look at this. The size of your consciousness is at the level of Kai refining 10th star, Jin Byuk-ho exclaimed upon seeing the size of my consciousness. Then, greed flickered in the eyes of the others again. Let's test the aptitude. At the same time, heaven and earth energy forcibly infiltrated my body, tearing through it. Crack, crunch? Arg? Ugh. I gritted my teeth and endured his cruel aptitude test, and after a while it was determined that I had the 5 elements spiritual roots. As the 5 energies radiated brilliance, the 3 cultivators immediately showed disappointment. TCH, I had high expectations due to the unusual size of your consciousness for a Kai gatherer. This one seems unremarkable. But considering you have not activated any spiritual meridians and have just begun learning cultivation, that level of consciousness is not bad. Only Sir Chang-ho showed some liking towards the size of my consciousness. If things continued this way, Sir Chang-ho would only give me a recommendation and leave. I knelt on the spot and shouted loudly. I greet the great seniors of immortal cultivation. I have forced open the divine consciousness by reaching the 5 energies converging to the origin through martial arts, and have longed to become a cultivator. Please show mercy to this lowly one and accept me as a disciple. Whoosh! I swung my Gang Kai-imbued arm in the air to demonstrate my worth. I can also handle the pure spiritual force used by Kai-building cultivators. My combat power is above Kai refining 14th star, less than Kai building. If you take me, you'll gain the strength of a Kai refining 14th star immediately. Please grant me this opportunity, seniors. 5 energies converging to the origin. There certainly was such a thing. Jin Bayuk Ho and White Bone Ghost, Devil of the Black Ghost Valley, appeared indifferent, while Sir Chang Ho of the Heavenly Creation sect showed significant interest. "Oh, you speak the language of Byokra. Are you from there?" He asked me in his native language instead of through consciousness, and I responded likewise. "You could say that. I have a branch family in Byokra." However, he seemed uninterested in me beyond a recommendation. I asked with gritted teeth, "Why won't you give me a chance? You won't regret taking me." If it wasn't the time for the Ascension Gate to open, and you had come to the Heaven Creation sect, or even to the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect or the Black Ghost Valley, you would have been good enough to be an inner disciple. But now it's different. We are already planning to promote our most important members in the sect during Ascension, and every additional person increases our burden exponentially. These individuals have legendary, almost mythical qualities like the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder Body, Ghostly Yin Transformation Immortal Root, and unique Holy Body, which is why we are willing to bear that burden. So, my qualities are not enough to take me with them. I looked at the three heavenly being cultivators and asked, "Then may I ask one thing? You dare, treating us as if we're free to indulge you." Crash! Jin Bayuk Ho roared angrily, and a bolt of lightning fell from the sky. Boom! Arg! I was struck by lightning, screaming in agony. It felt like my body was burning in flames. Am I dying? What a nasty temper. Whoosh! Sir Chang Ho flicked his finger, and wood element spiritual energy enveloped me with healing power. I was quickly healed from the electrical damage. Cough. Ha. Heh, taking care of your fellow countrymen, are you? You're all too quick-tempered. This junior might have something interesting to ask. It's too much to strike with lightning just for speaking. Sir Chang Ho commented, clicking his tongue. Trusting Sir Chang Ho, I decided to ask my question, even at the risk of dying. Seniors, if you have no intention of taking me, could you kindly advise how one might surmount the barriers of the heavens themselves, forbidding the path of immortal cultivation? I aim to reach Kai refining 7th rank and perform the 7 stars ritual. But what should I do if dark clouds arise in the sky every time, blocking the heaven and earth spiritual energy? White Bone Ghost, Devil frowned at my question and pointed at me. Pop! Simultaneously, both my arms burst open. Chang Ho indulged you, and now you overstep your bounds. Do you really think you have the right to speak to us? Geez, if you don't know, just say you don't. Crazy, I tell you. Sir Chang Ho clicked his tongue and restored my arms. White Bone Ghost Devil pulled Kang Min Hee close to them, looking too annoyed to bother with me anymore, and floated into the sky. The phenomenon of heavenly rejection. I recall reading about it in the sect's archives. Jin Bayuk Ho seemed somewhat interested in my question and pondered briefly before answering. As far as I know, the ritual will break if someone else helps, so you should push away the anomalies of the heavenly rejection phenomenon yourself. Ha ha ha, look at his face sinking. Well, it's not helpful advice, is it? How is a Kai refining cultivator supposed to fend off the heavenly rejection phenomenon with their own power? Even a 3-year-old could give that answer. TCH, what can I do? He's annoying. I'm leaving. Crash, boom. Jin Bayuk Ho, frustrated, struck me with lightning again before floating away. Arg! Once again, I felt my body burning in pain, but Sir Chang Ho's healing technique barely saved my life. Thank you, Sir Chang Ho, sect leader of the Heaven Creation sect and Chung Mun clan. It's nothing. TCH. When you reach Heavenly Being, everyone's character becomes a bit off, so just bear with it. For now, I'll give you a recommendation for the Chung Mun clan. With your consciousness, you would have been welcomed anywhere before the Ascension Gate opened, but it's a shame. I still bowed deeply before him and said, Thank you for your words, but I plan to continue appealing to the many seniors passing through the Ascension Gate during this period. HM? Even if you appeal, everyone else is busy taking their most important members and future talents with them. You won't find anyone to take care of you, but aren't there some who go alone without a faction? I heard of one person with a hunchback and controls puppets having no faction. Sir Chang Ho frowned at my words. What? You're going to appeal to the Mad Lord, that lunatic? He exclaimed through consciousness, not vocal. Hearing this, Jin Bayuk Ho and White Bone Ghost Devil, who were preparing to leave, looked back down. The Mad Lord? Why is that crazy old man's title coming up? Why are you bringing up that spine-chilling lunatic, Their reactions were not good, even drawing the two cultivators back. Jin Bayuk Ho's face was turning red with anger. You're not planning to appeal to that crazy Mad Lord, are you? Yes. I questioned in surprise, recalling how he had been friendly when he learned I was a martial artist who reached 5 energies converging to the origin in my past life, even gifting me the hidden consciousness technique. White Bone Ghost Devil also sternly advised me with a hardened face. You know about the Mad Lord, but do you not know what kind of person he is? He might seem sane at times, but he frequently suffers from madness and bouts of insanity. He's more terrifying and spine-chilling than any devil arts cultivator or clan. You might have read some sane records about him, but he is mostly insane, so do not engage with him. Sir Chang Ho also spoke to me with a face full of concern. Didn't you say you were a martial artist of the 5 energies converging to the origin? The Mad Lord's peculiar obsession with martial artists is well known. Wasn't his young lover a martial artist from the 5 energies converging to the origin? Ever since her death, that madman became notorious for capturing martial artists and transforming them into puppet-like creatures. I advise you not to approach him. If caught by the Mad Lord, you could be transformed into a living puppet. He shook his head in dismay and sighed. Anyway, if you don't want to throw your life away, not only should you avoid speaking to him, but also hide immediately if he appears to avoid being detected. Remember my words. Forget about unnecessary thoughts and take this recommendation letter to the Chungmun clan. I numbly received the recommendation letter from Sir Chang Ho, who repeatedly warned me against encountering the hunchback old man, the Mad Lord, before leaving. What's the deal with him? I recalled the seemingly sane hunchback old man, feeling deep conflict within. No, before that. I pondered, looking at manager Kim Yon, who seemed puzzled by my conversation with the cultivators in the language of Byokra. I should do something about manager Kim. If what they said was true, it wouldn't be good for manager Kim Yon to be caught by the Mad Lord. But even if I intervene, manager Kim will awaken that vast consciousness, and the Mad Lord will come for her. Having properly learned cultivation, I now understood the status and ability of heavenly being cultivators. Just their thoughts could naturally resonate with heaven and earth spiritual energy. How could I possibly contend with such monsters? Not figuratively, they could literally turn a country to dust in a single blow, amidst worry and anxiety. Once again, Deputy Manager Ohaiseo awakened the power of calling wind and rain. Sea Dragon King Seo Hweal, sensing the origin of her power, came to take her. I kneeled before Seo Hweal and asked a question. I, a mere mortal, wish to ask a question to Lord Sea Dragon King. Please graciously accept my inquiry. Go ahead. Do you, Lord Sea Dragon King, know of a cultivator called the Mad Lord? Upon hearing this, Sea Dragon King Seo Hweal, who had never lost his solemn and dignified expression, suddenly contorted his face. That damn lunatic. Why do you ask about that madman? It is now clear. The hunchback old man, the Mad Lord, is indeed a madman feared by all. To see such a reaction from the composed Sea Dragon King. I wish to know why everyone dislikes the Mad Lord. Drop the honorifics for that bastard. That madman has a very perverse sexual desire, using his puppets for it. Although most heavenly being cultivators have some mental issues after living for thousands of years. The Mad Lord is one who's sane in just one aspect, and insane in all others. Never engage or converse with him. He usually captures those who speak with him, transforming them into living puppets. I was speechless, my face blank with shock. I also realized how lucky I had been so far. No, was it because he was very pleased to take manager Kim Yon as his disciple. Indeed, other individuals, despite their ferocious nature, left us alone, but the Mad Lord always tried to kill me and Kim Young-hoon, persisting only because manager Kim stopped him. Every time, we would have died if manager Kim hadn't intervened. Thinking more about it, he was indeed a madman. To leave Manager Kim to such a madman would be too cruel. Thump, I kneeled before the Sea Dragon King and begged. Please, Lord Sea Dragon King, kindly accept this woman, Kim Yon, as your disciple or kin. What? Why should I do that? Cohweal, who seemed agitated by the mention of the Mad Lord, returned to his usual demeanor and questioned me. I explained everything to him. We are beings from another world, each having gained unique abilities upon coming to this world. Manager Kim Yon is soon to awaken a consciousness surpassing even heavenly being cultivators, that the Mad Lord covets her talents, likely to take her as his disciple. Hearing your situation, it's quite pitiable, caught in the eyes of the Mad Lord. However, Lord Sea Dragon King seemed more moved by the Mad Lord's interest in Manager Kim than by our sudden arrival from another world. But how do you know all this? This is the ability I have gained. Something like a prophecy? I refuse if you're asking to be taken too. Those who have reached a certain realm have a sense of fate and know roughly about the future. Prophetic abilities are the most useless. I do not mind. Please, I beseech Lord Sea Dragon King to take her. Cohweal seemed to ponder for a moment before speaking. It's a big burden for me to take another person. Taking this girl is already a huge burden, but I'm willing because her abilities will be a tremendous help to my race. But to take another one. However, I'm too worried about what might happen to her with the Mad Lord, and if what you say is true, her consciousness might indeed be useful. He looked at me narrowly, pondering. What if what you said is a lie? If that girl doesn't awaken any abilities, she's unappealing to me. If Lord Sea Dragon King believes I have lied, then you may devour me. According to my ability, she will awaken her power within today, so just wait until then. After a moment of thought, he slowly nodded. If her ability is a lie, I'll just leave her near the Ascension Gate. The Mad Lord won't be interested in her anyway. But the Mad Lord's power is so immense that if he notices her awakening, it might be hard even for me to contend. If her ability is as you say, it could be very helpful, so I'll keep an eye on it. Thank you, Lord Sea Dragon King. After speaking, Sea Dragon King approached Manager Kim Yon and grasped her wrist too. Kim Yon, unaware of what was happening, struggled in surprise. Quite rebellious. Sleep for a while. Whoosh, a gentle wave of consciousness from Sea Dragon King put Kim Yon, Kim Young-hoon, and Oh Hai-seo to sleep. I ended up talking more than expected. Since fate has brought us here, I can't take you, but I can let you out of the ascension path. How about it? Whoosh, Sea Dragon King flicked his finger, and a spatial rift opened inside the cave, revealing a dark entrance. Well, if Manager Kim goes with Sea Dragon King, there's no reason for the Mad Lord to come here. After thinking for a moment, I approached the sleeping Kim Young-hoon. Then I formed a hand seal. My consciousness connected with his upper dantian. I touched his forehead and used the same technique my master had passed down in my previous life. Knowledge of Yangnuo, Byokra, and a bit of Shengzi's language seeped into Kim Young-hoon's mind. Along with the severing vein saber method, severing mountain swordsmanship, and various martial arts. Also, the record of surpassing path and martial arts, record of gazing cultivation and exceeding martial arts, and other techniques accumulated by Kim Young-hoon in my past life. In this life, I hope you, Kim Hyung, won't face danger because of me. Lastly, I imparted the cruel deeds of the Makli clan and the information that killing Emperor Makli Yung would reduce their atrocities. If Kim Young-hoon kills Emperor Makli Yung, the Jin clan wouldn't uselessly operate assassination squads. Thus, my disciples would naturally return to being ordinary people under the Jin clan. After imparting knowledge to Kim Young-hoon, I placed him into the spatial rift. Goodbye, Kim Hyung. I might not see him again in this life. Aren't you going? No. I breathed in the air of Ascension Path outside the Ascension Gate. The heaven and earth spiritual energy here was denser than in Yangnuo and Byokra. Even if I went outside, I wouldn't be able to break through Kai refining 7th star. Therefore, in this life, I will train with an Ascension Path, amidst this dense spiritual energy. I will continuously perform rituals for the heavens. Sincerity can move the heavens. Will the insights and techniques my master imparted upon me become meaningless? If the heavens forbid, until the heavens grow weary or insane, I will devote this life to earning heaven's permission. The ascension path has much denser spiritual energy, so there might be a different possibility. I wish to remain in the ascension path. You intend to cultivate within the spiritual energy of ascension path. Not a bad idea. However, this place is difficult to enter for anyone below the level of nascent soul. Heavenly being cultivators have already taken all living creatures above Kai building and core formation as materials. If you train here, you'll spend decades in immense solitude. I am prepared for that. Well, if that's the case, there's nothing I can do. I wish you luck. COH we all nodded and closed the spatial rift. Holding Kim Yon and Oh Hai Seo, he then stepped outside the cave. Flash! A blue light enveloped my vision, and soon a blue dragon was seen soaring into the sky. I stepped out of the cave and looked up at the heavens. In this life, I will continuously seek the heavens' permission from within ascension path. If I devote 50 years to constant rituals, even the heavens will not dare to deny me, Master, your disciple. I will ensure the knowledge you imparted does not go to waste. With this vow for my current life, I gazed at the sky.